Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a sandstorm, straight into Timbuktu's molten heart. Smell that. Burnt honey and scorched earth, the scent of gold being born. African hammers pound ingots into submission, clang, 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 each strike shaping empires. Embers leap like fireflies as molten metal pours into clay molds, glowing orange against midnight skies. Let's be real, you'd last 5 minutes here before tripping into a furnace. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Where are you tuning in from tonight? Drop your city and time zone. I'll shout out the quirkiest one. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You crouch in a workshop's sweltering dark, shoulders brushing clay walls hot as fresh bread. Goldsmiths chant as they work, every syllable synced to their hammers. Their tongs dip glowing ingots into vats of ostrich eggshell slurry. The bubbles hiss secrets, know why. Medieval manuscripts cite eggshell acids for purifying gold, though tourists think it's just folklore. A sandblast rattles the roof, the harmattan wind demanding entry. It carries voices, or maybe just the creak of a camel's harness lost in dunes. Sweat trickles down your neck, or is that molten gold spray? Don't flinch. The master smith glares one mistake, and you're fueling the next bracelet. His apprentice grins, teeth glinting like coins. Timbuktu wasn't built on sand, he whispers. It was built on bang. The furnace door slams your cue to scoot back. Outside, the desert gnaws at the city. Watch your step, crumbling alleys drop straight into old grain silos. Moonlight paints dunes silver, distant camel bells clink like phantom chatter. You spot a half-buried ribcage lion. Human. Historians still argue whether those bones mark trade routes or mass graves. Either way, don't lick them. A merchant hustles past, veil crusted with salt from the Sahara crossing. His shadow stretches unnaturally long, twisting into a spear-toting silhouette. You blink, it's just a sandalwood staff. Probably he hawks authentic Mansa Musa coins, but rub one, the gold flakes off. Rookie move. Dawn approaches, the smiths douse fires and duck into mosques. Their prayer mats face Mecca, but also that suspiciously perfect dune. Legends say one gust could unmask King Solomon's secret vault. Archaeologists roll their eyes until ground-penetrating radar blips. 2 bad fundings tied up studying French colonial spoons. The wind picks up, sand stings like bee swarms. You stumble into a stable, finding shelter beside a sulking camel. Its furs matted with indigo dye. Some poor trader's bankruptcy in progress. The beast burps, and suddenly history's most expensive fart. Sunrise stains the sky blood orange. Hungry. 2 late street vendors packed up hours ago. Your stomach growls. Nearby, a kid fries dough in a dented pan. The oil sizzles with defiance. You trade a button for breakfast. He pockets it like tribute, Future historians will call this cultural exchange. A scholar shuffles by, arms loaded with manuscripts. One parchment flutters loose, you catch it. The Arabic script details exactly how much gold funded Timbuktu's 14th century astronomy department. Spoiler enough to buy a small moon. The scholar snatches it back, muttering about amateurs. Touchy. Heat haze warps the horizon. You swear you see a caravan materialize. 20 camels, no, 30 lumbering under silk and spices. Then, poof, gone. Mirages here hate commitment. Back at the smithy, workers unveil their night's labor, a necklace heavy enough to choke a giraffe. The master smith hangs it around his neck, a flex only gold can buy. His smirk says, "This, just Tuesday." The apprentice mouths. He sleeps in it. Your throat's a desert. You sip from a goatskin warm water and regret. A child offers mangoes, her hands stained saffron yellow. You bite in, juice drips onto sand, attracting a line of ants. They haul the droplets away, Timbuktu's tiniest merchants. As you leave, a gust scours the street, revealing a mosaic tile. It's cobalt blue, imported from Morocco 8 centuries ago. You kick dust over it. Let the next dreamer have the thrill. The city gates loom ahead, guards snooze against spears. One mumbles about djinns shifting sand into gold. His buddy snorts. Nah, just lazy tax collectors. Beyond the walls, the Sahara yawns dunes like frozen waves. A scrap of cloth flaps on a thorn bush. Maybe a pilgrim's robe, maybe a shroud. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's gold funded Renaissance Europe or just made kings hoard shiny things. Pick a side, preferably near a fan. Your foot sinks into sand up to the ankle. You freeze. The desert inhales, and the dunes begin their slow, patient march westward. By dawn, your footprints will vanish, along with this whole fever dream. And honestly, you're okay with that. You nudge your dugout into the current, the Nile's lazy flow tugging you toward mysteries older than Instagram filters. Papyrus boats dart past like water striders, their woven hulls barely skimming the silt-brown surface. History class never mentioned the smell wet reeds and sun-baked mud with a top note of, "Is that fermented fish?" Crocodiles laze on sandbars like entitled influencers, jaws agape, waiting for dinner to swim into their DMs. Don't worry, their bellies seem full. Local guides swear those reptiles once sunbathed beside pharaohs and probably stole a few sandals. Speaking of sun, you're slathering on SPF 50 while hieroglyphs snicker from temple walls. Turns out ancient Egyptians used crocodile dung as sunscreen. Let's just say modern science wins this round. A child's laugh rings from the riverbank, sharp and sweet as a date palm's first fruit. You turn, only mud-brick huts stare back, their doorways dark as unmarked tombs. Historians still argue whether villages like these were retreats for scribes or stealthy trading posts for copper and gossip. The breeze carries whispers of envy. Maybe those goldsmiths in Timbuktu aren't the only artisans with secrets. Your boat glides past half-submerged statues, pharaohs, smiles eroded into cryptic smirks. One ruler's clutching a faded scroll. Translation: property of Cleopatra, if found, return to Alexandria, no crocodiles. The river's heartbeat thrums beneath your hull, a rhythmic pulse that's powered this waterway since before pyramids were a glint in some architect's eye. Experts think Nile cargo routes funded entire dynasties, and at least 3 royal midlife crises. Something brushes your paddle, a tattered lotus bloom, or maybe a ghostly fingernail. Best not dwell. Ahead, fishermen haul nets bursting with tilapia, their silver scales mirroring the twilight. You half expect them to offer a Uberboat rating, but they just nod, eyes glinting like buried coins. Twilight stains the water blood orange now, and the crocs finally stop posing for papyrus-worthy selfies. The unanswered laughter lingers, echoing downriver long after the village fades. Maybe it's the wind, or maybe some kid's been giggling through millennia, a prankster pharaoh, forever 10 years old. You dip your hand in the Nile, wondering if it remembers every tear ever shed here. The water doesn't answer. It never does. The Nile's murky embrace fades behind you, your sandals now crunch savanna, grass brittle as burnt toast. Heat shimmers warp the horizon, a liquid dance of gold and dust. Somewhere ahead, baobabs stretch skeletal arms, perfect for shade or cryptic semaphore. Your canteen sloshes a pathetic protest. Water shortages aren't just a modern gym bottle problem. Turns out ancient caravans buried clay urns along trade routes, desert version of gas stations. Elephant rumbles hit first, not sound, but a chest-thrumming vibration. A matriarch crashes through acacia thickets, tusks swaying like metronomes. Her herd follows, calves trotting comically on trunk legs, still figuring out the whole giant mammal thing. Their footfalls sync with distant drums, tribes miles away beating hides stretched over hollowed logs. Historians still argue whether the rhythm meant hunting party incoming or hey, we found mangoes. Termite mounds tower like dystopian apartment blocks, 10 feet high and buzzing with tiny landlords. Local guides whisper that warriors once hid jewels inside, though you're pretty sure that's just ant propaganda. You press an ear to the sun-warmed clay. Is that faint clicking a termite quarrel or Morse code? Dusk comes hungry, painting the grass blood red as lions begin their shift. A warrior freezes mid-step, spear glinting, eyes locked on amber irises in the scrub. Both exhale a truce sealed without words. The big cats melt into shadows, their growls replaced by cicadas, revving like mopeds. Stars punch through the black, the Milky Way spilling like a shattered salt mine. You count 7 constellations before giving up, arrogance checked by infinite pinpricks. Those nomads weren't messing around. They mapped Sirius's path centuries before telescopes. Your phone's flashlight feels embarrassing now, a firefly at a bonfire contest. A drum crescendo erupts, or is it elephant feet? The night air hums with subsonic gossip. Scientists insist pachyderms signal through ground vibrations, but you swear the dirt's whispering recipes may be the real secrets in the soil, ancient, wordless, and tired of our overcomplicated questions. The sun bows, its final rays gilding stone tablets half buried in sand. You step into an oasis's jagged shadow. Date palms rustle like gossiping elders. Carved words, whether under centuries of wind laws, about water rights and elephant ivory taxes. School textbooks will tell you Timbuktu was the trade law capital. But these slabs prove bureaucracy bloomed in the desert too. Goat hooves clatter over a cracked basin. Its herder sweeps sand from glyphs with a calloused palm. His hummed tune curls through the air, a melody archivists trace to Amenhotep III's nursery. Unlikely, given the distance, but the goats seem to vibing with it. One nuzzles your knee, its breath reeks of dates, stolen from a merchant's stall. You crouch, fingers brushing a clause, about 3 cows per stolen well bucket. The penalties illustrated by a stick figure thief getting trampled, artistic flair, or legal intimidation. Historians still argue whether these were real verdicts or stone-carved dad jokes. A lizard skitters across Article Roman 12, its tail wiping the punishment for overdue library scrolls. Evening paints the tablets orange, their cracks become rivers on a copper map. The herder points to a half-shathered panel showing a crown and scales. Balance, he mutters. King's heart heavy with it. He won't clarify, just offers a withered date from his satchel. Sweetness explodes, then bitterness, as if the fruit can't decide its allegiance. Fire ants swarm a fallen inscription, their trail spelling out Kush in chaotic cursive. Coincidence? The desert specializes in cheeky omens. That goat's back munching a palm frond with the focus of a scholar deciphering hieroglyphs. You have expected to bleat a thesis on crop rotation laws. The herder's now etching something in the dirt, a crude crown surrounded by dots. Stars, he says. When the scorpion circle closes, kings return. His grin reveals a gold-capped tooth, a flash of opulence in the dust. Before you can ask, he whistles the goats trotting into twilight's violet haze. Cool air rises, carrying the scent of mud brick ruins hidden beyond the dunes. A bat swoops, its shadow briefly a crown. You pocket a pebble from the courtroom slab, a souvenir for future jury duty. The herder's song resumes, fainter now, a lullaby for laws even the desert can't bury. You crunch across crystallized earth, the air so dry it steals spit mid-swallow. Moonlight bleaches everything. Your hands, the dunes, the salt slabs strapped to groaning camels. Their hooves sink into sand, whispering secrets of an ocean that fled millennia ago. Public school fact: salt traded pound for pound with gold up here. Your guide winks. Bet your Bitcoin bros never hauled 900-kilometer snacks. Shadows stretch long, too long. A camel's silhouette bulges, warps, detaches into a rider-shaped smudge. It gallops parallel to the caravan until you blink. Ignore them, the guide grumbles. They're just the desert's bad CGI. Historians still argue whether these phantom riders were dehydration hallucinations or Tuareg rebels testing caravan defenses. You sip brackish water. It tastes like lukewarm battery acid. The lead camel halts, its nostrils flare at a half-buried bone. Human, donkey. The guide pokes it with his staff. Pivot, he barks. The train snakes left, avoiding a sinkhole masked as solid ground. Moonlight turns each salt slab into a glow-in-the-dark Ike shelf. Assembly required. Sanity not included. Your camel huffs, clearly judging your inability to read dune formations. Tough crowd. Midnight brings the cold. Frost etches hieroglyphics onto salt blocks. You spot a handprint fossilized in a slab, some poor soul's grip from the 14th century. Our guide swears camels lick salt blocks to calm sour stomachs. Desert Pepto, if you're nasty. The merchant behind you argues about tariffs with a ghost, or maybe his own sleep deprivation. A sand fox darts past, its paws leaving commas in the dust. The guide tosses a date pit. Taught any salt mines are that way. He nods toward nothingness. Workers their carved tombs before they die saves time. Grim, yet you picture retirees speed-booking cemetery plots on Groupon. Dawn blushes the horizon. Shadows retreat your phantom rider, now a smudge on a dune's crest. The caravan master shouts, "Rest stop." Camels collapse into grumpy heaps. You pocket a salt shard. It'll pair nicely with last week's 100-year-old olive oil. The merchant snores against his camel's flank, still muttering about tax exemptions. Wind rises, the kind that skins dunes raw. You tie your scarf tighter. Someone's abandoned water skin tumbles past, followed by a child's leather sandal. No one comments. Rule number 1 of Salt Caravan Club: don't acknowledge the debris of failure. The guide offers a resinous gum to chew. Cleopatra's dentists used this, he claims. Doubtful, but your molars feel suspiciously royal. By noon, the salt slabs sweat iodine-scented tears. You're a human pretzel, stick in this heat. Camels side-eye your floppy hat. They know who the real desert rookie is. You spot carvings on a sandstone outcrop, stick figures hauling salt, a sun with fangs, a crude SpongeBob square pants-esque doodle. Okay, that last one's probably yours. The guide smirks. Ancient lie bad art. Touché. Sunset ignites the salt into liquid gold. Shadows return bolder now. A phantom rider gallops close enough to hear only the scrape of blade on leather. But when you turn, nothing. The camels tense. One moans like a broken cello. Your canteen's down to warm dregs. The guide laughs. Mali Empire traders drank their own urine after day 3. You reassess life choices. Stars emerge sharp as salt crystals. The merchant wakes, shrieks at a camel's shadow, then resumes snoring. At campfire dinner, a mush of millet and regret. The guide shares a tale. A salt porter once carved his lover's face into a slab. Romantic, till she married a date farmer. The fire pops. Someone's playing a flute 3 dunes over, or it's the wind through a camel's nostril. You doze against a salt block, wake to frost icing your eyebrows. Phantom riders circle the camp, each pass tighter than the last. The guide's gone, so's the paranoid merchant. Camels chew cud, unbothered. Typical Tuesday, you mutter. A shadow leans in, its breath smells like paprika and buried things. Morning reveals fresh tracks, boots, and paw prints entwined. The guide reappears, sans explanations. 20 miles left. He feeds the camels salt chunks. They drool like it's gelato. You check your pocket, the salt shard's gone, replaced by a date pit. The desert's slapstick game remains unmatched. The caravan crests a dune, there. Timbuktu's spires blur in the heat haze. Shadows dissolve under the sun's glare. Your camel sneezes salt dust. A surprisingly elegant finale. You stagger into the village, your sandals caked with ochre dust that clings like powdered regret. Children huddle around a baobab tree, scraping its bark into bowls of murky water. Protein, a woman mutters, stirring the sludge with a spoon carved from desert acacia. Public school fact: during Mali's golden age, rainwater harvesting fed 90,000 people in Timbuktu alone. Now, the communal cisterns cracked concrete gapes like a broken promise. The shaman arrives at sunset, his cloak stitched from jerboa pelts and Bluetooth earbuds. He plants a staff topped with cowrie shells into the bone-dry riverbed. Clouds cost extra this year, he deadpans, rattling a gourd full of goat teeth. Locals toss coins into a dented bucket labeled rain tribute. No refunds. Historians still argue whether the 1973 megadrought was nature's fury, or France's colonial canals starving the land. You don't care. Your tongue feels like a leather belt left in the sun. Women pound yams nearby, thud thud thud, their pestles syncopated but hopeless. One offers you a grayish lump. Famine bread, she says. Termite mound flour minus the termites. You chew. It tastes like chalk that's seen things. The shaman begins his dance, knees high, elbows jerking like a marionette with Wi-Fi issues. Teens snicker until elders glare. Show respect. His grandfather summoned a flood in 62. Someone whispers, and drowned 3 goats, accidentally. The shaman spins, kicks up a dust devil for a heartbeat silence. Then a toddler wails. Nightfall brings votive candles made from sheep fat. Their smoke coils into animal shapes, a hyena, a heron, a PlayStation controller. The shaman chants into a rusted megaphone, praise songs to pagan gods, and a quick shout-out to Elon Musk. Rain needs rockets now. He barks. Thunder grumbles, or maybe your stomach. The sky stays blue-black, stingy, with stars. You spot something pale in the riverbed, an albino crocodile skulking through reeds. Our river guardian, a boy says. He's cranky 'cause the pond shrank. you half expect a no lifeguard on duty sign. The croc eyes you, unblinking, then burps a bubble that smells like dead algae. Charmin Guy. 3 hours later, the shaman's drenched in sweat. Villagers are dozing, and the only moisture comes from a breastfeeding mom's leaky nipple. Even the crickets sound bored. Perseverance. The shaman wheezes, knotting a torn kite string around a goat's ankle. Ancient method. The goat bleats, unimpressed. Dawn cracks open the sky. The shaman collapses against a termite mound, his blisters oozing. Women resume pounding yams. Kids kick a deflated soccer ball. No one mentions the missing thunder. You slip a coin into the rain bucket. It clinks like a tiny punchline. Walking back to camp, you step on something squishy, a decomposing bullfrog. Good luck, crows a passerby. Rain within a week. You scrape your sandal on a rock. 2 hours later, a single cloud drifts over. It drizzles 3 drops. The shaman claims victory. The village showers him with millet, while secretly stockpiling more termite flour. As you leave, a girl tugs your sleeve. Her eyes are Sahara-wide. Next time, she whispers, bring a lightning machine. You fist bump her. Deal. The albino croc watches from his mud puddle king of the Never Rains Club. Your palm meets the baobab's bark. Ridges dig into your skin like fossilized lightning. Termites march up the trunk in a zigzag conga line. Even bugs can't walk straight in this heat. A kid pelts a mango pit at the tree. It thunks, then vanishes into a hollow the size of a manhole cover. Ghost pantry, the boy says. Queens stored gold there before the French came. Archaeologists found 7 baobabs with human remains in Senegal, none confirmed royal. But try telling that to the drunk historian who tried to lick one. The wind gusts through the branches. It sounds less like rustling leaves and more like an old argument. Betrayed the salt pact, hisses one voice. Arrows outnumbered, rasps another. You step back, barely dodging a falling seed pod shaped like a shriveled heart. Guides joke that baobabs fling these when they're annoyed. Take the hint. The village elder finds you squinting at the trunk's graffiti, 19th century European initials, alongside faded adinkra symbols. She spits at a carved JR 1889. Boers, colonizers, backpackers all carve claims. But the tree remembers who bled here first. Her fingernail traces a symbol like interlocked tornadoes. Sankofa, return and fetch what was lost. Explains why termite mounds cluster west side. They're digging up old grudges. Sunset stains the bark blood orange. You swear the shadows twist into silhouettes, armored riders, spears raised. Blink, back to just a tree. A teen girl giggles behind you. She's been sprinkling powdered bark into your canteen. For strong dreams, she says. Worldwide, baobab powder's sold as a superfood. Locally, it's added to funeral beer to help souls argue less. The aftertaste is all regret and maple syrup. Nightfall. You lean against the trunk. It hums faintly, like a fridge on its last legs. The elder said not to sleep here. Mothers buried their newborns. Umbilical cords in these roots makes the tree chatty. Above, constellations spin stories older than any history book. The Big Dipper's handle points toward a lone star villager's call, the orphan's torch. You count shooting stars. The Baobab counts back. Dawn reveals fresh carvings, a crude crown above your head. That's new. So's the goat tethered to the tree, chewing on a Nokia phone. Its owner shrugs. Sacrifice for the 5G gods. The elder returns, eyes narrowed at your canteen. How'd you sleep? You mention dreams of a queen demanding Wi-Fi passwords. She nods. Third Tuesday curse. Have some more powder. By noon, the termites have rebuilt their highway up the trunk. The kid's back, now lobbing guava pits. You leave a protein bar in the hollow, an offering or littering, depending who's judging. The wind kicks up again. This time, clear as a vinyl scratch, you hear ingrate, followed by something about camel dung tariffs. Walking away, you step on a seed pod. It crunches, then emits a scent like burnt hair and hibiscus. The elder warned their souvenirs from dead queens. You slip it into your pocket, future use problem. Cicadas rev their engines. The Baobab creaks maybe laughter, maybe wood settling. Definitely judgment. 2 kilometers later, your tongue tingles. That powder's working. The horizon warps into a liquid gold mirage, or maybe it's just the Sahel being a drama queen. Either way, you'll take hallucination over heat stroke any day. The fuzziness fades, but the baobab's grumbles linger in your molars, buzzing like a forgotten text notification. Salt air slaps your face. The desert's burnt hair stench surrenders to rotting kelp and fish scales. You've reached the coast fishermen mark, with X's sketched in boat oil. 8 kilometers west of Mombasa, the beach hides relics from the Kilwa Sultanate's gold trade. Arab dhow planks poke through waves like broken ribs. Historians still argue whether Portuguese cannons sank these ships, or if captains deliberately wrecked them to dodge taxes. Either way, the sea's doing a terrible job at keeping secrets. A fisherman mends nets nearby, left foot in a pink flip-flop, right in a blue. Ginny don't like matching pairs, he mutters. His scoop dredges up barnacle-crusted nails, and a Sony Walkman still playing static. Local belief says music unjares coastal spirits. Yet you catch him humming Bay and Say under his breath. His skiff's name cracks you up. Wi-Fi my love. Low tide reveals the horror show. Rusted anchor chains snarl around a steam engine's gutted skeleton. Victorian-era pistons choked by seaweed wigs. Your boot sinks into black sand, pulls free with a wet gasp. Something clinks. Digging reveals a Portuguese coin minted in 1521. King Manuel, eyes smug face, half-eaten by brine. Experts think 3 caravels vanished here during the monsoon of 98, not 1998. 1498. Shadows dart between ship ribs. Too tall for crabs, too fluid for birds. The fisherman swears under his breath each. Hakuna Matata, sounding more like holy crap. He mentions the 1943 Dutch freighter that sank with a hold full of church bells. Full moon nights, they ring themselves sounds like a drunk xylophone. You're debating whether to laugh or run when a wave spews out a plastic doll's head. Its eyes glow faintly. Bioluminescent algae births her latest prank. Neon blue waves writhe like electrified eels. You swipe a finger through the surf. Now your hands glittering like a rave party unicorn. The fisherman tosses a coconut. It bobs where his brother disappeared in 07. He waves sometimes, he says. We don't wave back. Two boys drag a fishing line studded with Nokia batteries, homemade spirit bait. They hunger for old tech, the taller one insists. They've built a shrine in a beached cooler, offerings of SIM cards and corroded AirPods. One bud still plays Ed Sheeran. You contribute a dead GoPro. Nightfall cranks up the weird. That doll head's rolling toward you, tide be damned. Salt crusts your lips, tastes like bad decisions and battery acid. Above, satellites outnumber stars. Wi-Fi my love drifts anchorless, its lantern swinging to a rhythm that isn't waves. The fisherman's gone, but his flip-flops remain, aligned precisely north-south. You pocket a shard of Ming Dynasty porcelain, souvenir or curse. Flip a coin. The wind carries a giggle from the Dutch freighter's grave. Bioluminescence blooms in your footprints. 20 paces later, you realize they're glowing footprints, not yours. Dawn exposes fresh claw marks on the freighter's hull, vertical gashes, deeper than any propeller. A shredded fishing net drapes them like party streamers. Wi-Fi my love reappears, mast snapped, hull intact. In its belly, 17 expired condoms and a jar of Nutella. Breakfast of champions. The fisherman returns at noon smelling of palm wine and regret. Ginny upgraded my boat, he slurs, pointing to a new outboard motor duct-taped to the stern. Its serial number matches one reported stolen in Dar es Salaam last week. You decline his offer to chase ghost signals on the radar. GPS claims you're standing in open ocean. Sand disagrees. As you leave, the doll head watches from a tide pool, its cracked lips mouthing words in Swahili. Or maybe that's just the seawater in your ears. You hike inland, soul sticky with algae and paranoia. The chunk of a distant generator morphs into ship's engines. Real or not, it's your new ringtone. Heat shimmers warp the acacia trees into liquid giants. Your sweat evaporates before it can itch. 3 clicks inland, the generator's chunk dissolves into cicada static. You swat at tsetse fly, miss, and freeze. Amber eyes glare through grass taller than your kneecaps. 1 heartbeat. 10. Historians still argue whether African lions evolved to ignore upright humans or just find us too scrawny to bother. The lioness's ear flicks, scarred from a porcupine's bad day. You count 9 flies on her muzzle. She yawns, fangs yellow as a 70s fridge. Somewhere behind her, cubs wrestle in the dirt. You're weighing back away slowly, against piss yourself quietly, When a spear's shaft taps your shoulder, drop your chin, the warrior mutters. His scar zigzags from eyebrow to earlobe, a map, legend in keloid. She can't decide if you're prey or bad taxidermy. His cowhide shield reeks of rancid butter, Maasai tradition, claims the stench confuses predators. You catch yourself mouth-breathing. Grass rustles. The lioness vanishes. The warrior grins, teeth filed to points. In a coming-of-age ritual, you're suddenly grateful skipped your culture. Her pride took down a giraffe yesterday. Full bellies make lazy hunters. He nods toward a termite mound lookout. Climb. Hyenas want your shoes. 15 minutes later, you're sipping fermented milk from a gourd while he recounts the time a lioness stole his spear and returned it snapped. Tourists think prides mean arrogance. We call them families who forgot to buy plates. His GPS watch beeps. Authenticity crisis. Dusk paints the savannah in panic colors, blood orange skies, bruised purple horizons. He points to a constellation shaped like a broken spear. Lion's tooth appears when cubs learn to kill. You mention the Big Dipper. He snorts. Colonizer constellations, always scooping what isn't theirs. 10 meters downhill, the lioness gnaws a warthog femur. Her cubs bat the skull around like a cursed soccer ball. The warrior whispers how male lions avoid his clan's territory. Raiding parties here end with more human spears than cat pelts. Balance, he says, rubbing ash into his shield. Not bravery. Your phone dies as fireflies emerge. He laughs at your frustrated groan. Why you need more light. MBWA Mwidu eyes glow if you spit caught juice. You decline his offer to demonstrate. The midnight wind carries the coppery tang of distant kills. The warrior points to a shadow slinking toward the termite mound. Leopard, thief of graves. His grimace says more. 3 generations back, his great-grandfather dueled one over a stolen bride's necklace. Historians still argue whether the cat was real or just a metaphor for jealousy. Cicadas crescendo, a sound like rattling teeth. The lioness groans, swats her cubs toward thicker brush. Storm coming, the warrior says. No clouds, no thunder, but the baboons have gone quiet. He offers a paste of crushed aloe and hyena dung for your blisters. You hesitate. Safari guides pay €50 for this, he smirks. It smells like a crime scene, but works. At dawn, military ants march over your boot, nature's Roomba. The warrior's gone, leaving an ostrich feather arrow in the dirt. Fletching points northeast. You follow it to a rainwater pool and freeze again. The lioness drinks 5 paces away, flank scarred from old snares. You recall his advice. Never crouch. They think you're a dik-dik with wallet. She huffs, a sound that's half snarl, half sneeze, and pads away. Cicadas reboot their electric hymn. Somewhere, a cub sneezes. Your canteen's almost empty when you spot the ceramic shard, glazed with the same Ming Dynasty blue as your cursed souvenir. This one's carved with Portuguese numerals, 1498. The warrior's laugh echoes from nowhere. Or maybe that's the lion's. Termite mounds now resemble crumbling watchtowers. GPS claims you're 7 clicks from the coast, but vultures circle the same patch of sky you left yesterday. The warrior's voice drifts back. Hyenas dig new water holes at noon. Follow the flies. You check your reflection in a stagnant puddle, hair dusted red, eyes bloodshot. The lioness's growl still vibrates in your molars. Above, a satellite blinks. Some CEO's pet project, mapping earth tones for bathroom tiles. The cicadas abruptly stop. Your shadow stretches too long for 2 p.m. A cracked iPhone lies in the grass, playing Circle of Life on tinny loop. Lion King merch survives everything: war, drought, bad sequels. You pocket it as a peace offering for the next warrior. Sunset finds you at a Baobab carved with colonial-era graffiti. Someone's scratched, "Kilroy was here," below a 17th century Dutch trader's name. The lioness watches from a granite outcrop, cubs in tow. She licks a paw, disinterested. You toss the iPhone. It lands screen up, Simba's face pixelated into a derp meme. Cicadas kickstart their amps. Somewhere, a warrior guffaws. The night smells of wet fur and burned cell towers. You hike faster. The loom's rattle replaces the cicadas, din wooden heddles clacking like a mechanical woodpecker. You step into a courtyard, shaded by frayed indigo tarps. 20 women sit cross-legged, their shuttles darting through rainbowed threads. Each pull tightens a story: crimson for spilled empires, gold for stolen crowns. Historians still argue whether these patterns held coded war plans or just really aggressive interior design tips. A weaver flicks ash from her pipe, the same cedar-scented blend Ghanaian royalty, burned to mask slave trade stink. She nudges a half-finished strip toward you. Touch it wrong, and you owe my great-grandmother's ghost 2 goats. The threads bite your fingertips, raw silk smuggled through Portuguese blockades centuries back. Mainstream textbooks skip the part where Ashanti weavers unraveled European coats to harvest military-grade fabrics. "This one's a Dwenisa," she says, tracing zigzags resembling electrocuted vipers. "Means I've exhausted my jokes, worn by kings after their 3rd failed assassination." Her laugh rasps like a rusted loom. Behind her, a toddler stacks spools into wobbly towers, future UNESCO sites collapsing under crayon graffiti. Dye pots simmer over charcoal pits. One bubbles with fermented mud from Lake Buzamtwi, a stench that clings to your nostrils like unpaid debt. The weaver stirs it with a human femur. "Relax, colonizer, it's a replica. Originals in Oxford, next to our dignity." You fake a chuckle. She's not smiling. A teenage apprentice trips, spilling indigo across a half-finished cloth. The elder tusks, "Now it's grief's first draft. We'll sell it to tourists as intentional." She points to angular black lines cutting through emerald. "See this? 1896. British exile King Prempeh, eye weavers stitched the voyage and dysentery deaths. Colonial censors thought it was pretty birds." Sunlight filters through cloth stretched overhead, dappling the ground in phantom tapestries. You spot a pattern matching your sister's tribal print zoom background. The weaver follows your gaze. Kofi's Kia Invasion series. Fast fashion requested, regrettably delivered. She spits into the indigo vat. It hisses. You ask about a cloak dangling in the corner, its threads so dense it looks wet. Don't touch that, snaps a teenager, waxing lyre strings. It's the noise canceller. Chiefs wore it to weddings. Mutes mother-in-law gossip. Rumor says a 17th century queen survived a poisoning because the cloth filtered her wine. Experts call it folklore, but the British Museum keeps it vacuum sealed. The elder snaps her fingers. A one-eared boy brings you a stool carved with mating tortoises. Sit, your walking's giving the threads anxiety. She hands you a spindle. Try. 3 twists in, your thread snaps. A preschooler points and cackles. You European spinner, the elder smirks, reknotting the mess. No tension, no control. Like your first time, the women howl. You're suddenly aware of 17 judgmental chickens. A dropped shuttle rolls into a fire pit. The threads ignite, sputtering green flames from copper sulfates in the dye. Everyone shrugs. 3rd time this week, sighs the teen. We don't do silk anymore. The elder wraps a scrap of Jai Naim around your wrist, the accept God symbol, repackaged for airport kiosks worldwide. For protection, she says, or to wipe sweat, your destiny. Nightfall brings kerosene lamps and argument. Women debate whether to add QR codes to ceremonial robes. Customs, barks the elder. Scanning a Kente with your iPhone. Next you'll want Ancestry.com divinations. The teen mutters about Bitcoin payments. A chicken pecks your shoelace. By moonrise, the air thrums with 84 looms in discordant sync. You slip out, past drying racks hung with half-born histories, your shadow stretching into a warped, threadbare giant. The elder's voice follows you. Remember, colonialism's just bad cultural appropriation with extra muskets. Your stolen scrap of cloth itches. Unfolding it, you find a single blood-red thread woven into the pattern, a zigzag, the exact length of the spear scar you got in Section 9. The chickens cluck in what might be approval or indigestion. Your camel's groan harmonizes with the shifting dunes, a bass note to the wind's midnight whistle. A nomad caravan halts ahead, their indigo turbans glowing under starlight. They unroll a leather map thicker than your thumb, constellations pricked in camel thorn sap. You recognize Ursa Major until they rotate it sideways. Our ancestors walked this, mutters a teen with lichen-crusted water skins. Pleiades points to Timbuktu. Orion's belt aligns with Dogon cliffs. Historians still argue whether Saharan celestial maps guided trade routes or just made existential crises prettier. You kneel, squinting at engraved dots. The nomad clicks his tongue. Closer. Stars breathe better here. Up close, the map's scars mimic your wrist's zigzag thread. A scarred elder parts the crowd. His left cheek puckers, a star-shaped burn. That one, he jabs a thumb skyward. Meteorite, 17 years old. Knocked me clean off a dromedary. Scholars dismiss his tale, though Mali's National Archive keeps a 1923 report titled Flaming Sky Donkey. Tea steams over a camel dung fire. The elder pours mint syrup thickness into a shot glass crusted with salt. Drink, GPS coordinates won't save you here. The sweetness clings like liquid moonlight filtered through sugarcane. He traces a constellation named Hassan's Broken Sandal. 6 stars form a limp soul. Laugh now till your boot splits mid-dune. A nomad girl practices celestial navigation with a laser pointer scavenged from a crashed drone. See, Betelgeuse to Alpha Centauri. She draws glowing lines across the Sahara. The elder swats her. Cheater, our ancestors used eyebrows and spite. You spot a cluster labeled Ship of Fools, 8 stars in a wobbly rectangle. The elder scowls. Berber sailors followed it straight into desert, skeletons still holding oars. Mainstream digs near Wadding found 9th century Norse coins. But let's not embarrass academia. Midnight wind flips the leather map. Hidden beneath charcoal smudges of a mammoth. Old Tuareg joke snorts the teen. Mammoth constellation shows up when you're too lost to care. The elder smacks his head. Respect the dead. That's great-grandma's hip bone. Someone hands you a star spoon, a ladle etched with star patterns for scooping night sky into tea. You swirl it. The Big Dipper wobbles. Careful, warns the girl. Spill it, and Ursa Minor drowns. The elder grips your wrist, comparing your scar to the map's jagged twin traders asterism. Shared pain or shared ancestors. My face says both. His laugh, a camel's cough, meets didgeridoo. Behind him, tourists bribe nomads to enhance their ancestry DNA results with Saharan stardust. Dawn stains the horizon raw umber. The caravan packs leather maps into camel hair tubes. One map tears, the elder tosses the scrap into the fire. Stupid stars, always gossiping. You pocket a charred fragment, the smell clinging like a goodbye. Eastward, the desert swallows their silhouette. Your camel huffs, plotting rebellion. The laser pointer girl's voice carries on the wind. Beta tester for Mars rovers. I'm overqualified. You unfold the burnt scrap. The stars form a perfect scar and smell faintly of mint. The burnt scrap warms your palm, mint and charcoal breathing through its cracks. You follow the clang, a sound like thunder trapped in iron, to a valley steaming with forges. Blacksmiths move in the smokes, embrace their hammers, biting red-hot metal in triple time. A man quenches a blade, hiss, vaporizing into the noon haze. Peace swords, he grunts. Sharper than your ex's tongue, but blunter than politics. Mainstream archaeology credits the knock with sub-Saharan Africa's first iron smelting, centuries before Europe caught on. These smiths, they've upgraded. A woman welds a spearhead onto a plowshare, its edge glinting with disarming intent. For yams, she deadpans, tougher than you'd think. You nod, though that spear's serrations scream dinner and defense. Locals insist the best anvils sing high C when striking moon-forged ore, though you're pretty sure that's tinnitus. An apprentice tests the theory, wincing as his hammer connects. The anvil shrieks. The smiths groan. Flat note, tuts a grandfather missing 3 fingertips. You're striking like a Belgian tourist. Historians still argue whether these smiths forged weapons or farm tools, their blades too ornate for cornstalks. You trace a sickle curved like a panther's grin. The metal thrums, a low, grieving vibration. The grandfather spits onto coals. Song of dead wars. We're choir directors now. A teenage apprentice scowls at a glowing ingot. It's shaped suspiciously, like a tick-tock logo. Commission for a chief's kid, he mutters. Blessed to bleed, trending next solstice. The head smith confiscates his tongs. Ancestors weep, and not from the algorithm. Bellows wheeze, goatskin lungs feeding furnace hearts. You catch the stench of scorched hooves, and something sweeter. The woman points to a clay pot, oozing honeyed sludge. Quenching fluid, beeswax, ostrich fat, and regret. Your fingers stick testing it, the smith's cackle. Now you're part of the sword, shrugs the grandfather. Hope it doesn't divorce you. Dusk stains the forge's blood orange. Smiths rehearse a ritual, tapping hammers against cooled blades in a rhythmic clicks. It sounds like Morse code for we're tired. The grandfather hands you a dagger hilt, its blade snapped clean. Burial gift, he says. Cuts the afterlife's red tape. Firelight glints on a wall of abandoned weapons, spears bent into hooks, arrowheads repurposed as hairpins. One axe sports, a world's okayest warrior engraving. The woman catches your smirk. Customer loyalty program. Trade 10 enemy skulls. Get a free sandal repair. Nightfall brings cooler air and secrets. The grandfather whispers of bloomeries hidden beneath termite mounds, iron veins pulsing like subterranean snakes. They bite, he warns, showing a forearm mottled with old burns. Mind your own business, literally. Historians would kill for his tongs, carbon dating them to the Mali Empire's golden age. He'd laugh. Golden age, my back says bronze. The smiths barter with passing herders, 3 arrowheads for a goatskin of frothy late Calais. You're offered a sip. It's yogurt's edgier cousin, cicadas crescendo as the head smith demonstrates. Harmony strikes. Hammer blows timed to distant frog croaks. Nature's metronome, he insists. Missed beats mean cursed blades. You count 4 misfires. But maybe those are just bullfrog burps. A toddler drags a sword, crafted from rusty nails and resentment. The smiths pretend fear, i.e., the scourge of naptime. They flee as he giggle charges, stumbling over an anvil he'll later blame for his trust issues. You pocket a nail, the only souvenir not screaming felony. The grandfather blocks your exit. Wait. He presses a cold blade into your palm, unsharpened, but humming like a beehive for splitting mangoes or metaphors. Moonlight silvers the forge yard. Smiths snore in hammocks strung between dormant furnaces. The dagger warms against your thigh, its song now synced with your pulse. Somewhere, a hyena howls. The blade thrums faster. Don't worry, yawns the head smith without opening his eyes. Steel's just scared of the dark. The museum's AC bites your neck, a sharp contrast to the dagger's persistent hum against your thigh. Moonlight slants through skylights, glinting off glass cases crammed with artifacts that smell of lemon polish and gilt. Your sneakers squeak on marble too loud. Somewhere in this labyrinth of stolen grace, a djembe drum throbs. You find it in room 17, labeled West African Musical Traditions. The goatskin head glows amber under exhibit lights. Historians know this drum crossed oceans in 1897. British troops looted it from a royal court, mistook its ceremonial carvings for primitive doodles. Touch the glass, it's warm. Night guards swear the display case frosts over by dawn, yet the drum stays toasty. One theories it's the copper inlay conducting body heat from ghosts. You lean closer. The blade at your leg vibrates D-sharp, same as yesterday's anvil scream. A guard's walkie-talkie crackles. He jumps, static morphing into 3 rapid thumps. Again, he hisses, slapping the device. The drum remains still, but your dagger's now buzzing like a flipped tractor trailer. Museum's closed, he barks, flashlight beams slicing the dark. You duck behind a Benin bronze, its plaque muttering, acquired courtesy of colonial enthusiasm. Historians still argue whether the drum was a diplomatic gift or war plunder. The curator's note claims cultural exchange. The security camera footage showing the relic levitating 2 centimeters every solstice remains classified. Your breath fogs the glass. The drumhead ripples, a phantom mallet strike. The guard freezes. Not this voodoo again, he moans, fumbling for his keys. Every night, same ritual, unlocked case, silent galleries, drumbeats echoing from nowhere. His resignation letter drafts itself in his head, reason for leaving. Rhythm-based harassment. You press a palm to the exhibit label, hotter than a Ghanaian noon. The dagger sinks its pulse to the djembe's hidden heartbeat, war songs from a kingdom erased. Guards have tried moving it. The drum always reappears, once in the cafeteria fridge, once duct-taped to the director's Prius. Just let it out, the guard yells at the case. He's the 7th watchman this year. The last one quit to become a Buddhist monk, claims he needed quieter karma. Your blade thrums faster. The drum's shadow stretches, warps, slithers toward a fire exit. Notice the security feed glitch. 3:33 a.m. timestamp melting like butter. The guard kicks the case. I'll donate you to a garage band. Static drowns his threat. The drumhead bucks, imprint of a hand too large to be human. Scholars once x-rayed the relic, found 5 cowrie shells sewn inside and a child's molar. Museum interns whisper about cold spots. You feel none, just that vampiric warmth leaching through glass, the dagger's electric purr. The guard surrenders, slumps against a pillar, humming Radiohead. The drum pulses. Lights flicker. You count 16 beats, a royal procession's tempo. Dust dances in the sudden draft. The blade's edge fogs, steel weeping for a war it never fought. Take it, the guard mumbles, tossing his keys. They skid to your feet. I'll blame Brexit. The case hinge creaks, a sound like old bones standing. The drum sits there, innocent. You hesitate. The dagger hums. Yes. Touch the goat's skin. It's fever hot. The carvings squirm under your fingertips, ancestors recounting their kidnapping in spirals and dots. The guard covers his ears. If it starts playing WAP, I'm legally allowed to leave. You lift the drum, lighter than expected. The blade falls silent. So does the room. Even the HVAC stops wheezing. The guard peers through splayed fingers. Is it over? Then the fire alarm blares. Sprinklers drench you. The drum slips, crashes, rolls toward the exit, trailing water and the reek of wet goat. The guard chases it, screaming about his dry cleaning. Your dagger thrums again, mocking musical. Dawn bleeds through the windows. The drum's back in its case, though now listing slightly left. The guard's shirt sports a coffee stain shaped like Timbuktu. He glares at you. You didn't see anything. Outside, your pocket buzzes. The dagger's warm. The metro's first train rumbles, its rhythm matching the djembe's final, hungry beat. The metro's rhythm fades as you step onto cracked asphalt, volcanic dust already itching your throat. Gomez streets slope toward the horizon, where Mount Near-Ragango exhales a plume of sulfur and superstition. Kids dart past, arms full of mugwort and hibiscus. Locals swear tossing herbs calms the magma's temper. Your dagger, still humming from the museum, grows warm against your hip. Coincidence? The blade thinks not. A vendor shoves a steamed cassava wrap into your hands. Eat. The mountain hates empty stomachs. Lava tubes rumbled here in 2002, swallowed entire neighborhoods like a spoiled child gulping broth. You chew. The earth groans, a sound deeper than subway trains, older than empires. Teenagers lob branches into a smoking fissure. One yelps as heat singes his eyelashes. His friends laugh till they cough. The dagger pulses. Dante's Inferno meets a subwoofer. You follow its pull past a crumbling church. Its steeple tilts, swayed by last year's tremors. A geologist in a Hawaiian shirt argues with the elder, but the sensors show your machines are deaf. She snaps, sprinkling ash over a GPS unit. Historians still argue whether ancient eruptions birthed myths of fire-breathing serpents or just really angry gods. Your shoes melt slightly. Great. The blade's now hot enough to fry an egg or brand a tourist. You duck into a shack labeled Internet Cafe. No computers, just a goat chewing SIM cards. The proprietor grins. Wi-Fi in the lava flow. Connects better during tremors. Sunset stains the sky burnt orange. You hike the lower slope, boots crunching over pumice. The dagger's glow matches the lava lake simmer, Park rangers call near Ragango the fastest killer. Its magma flows hit 60 mph in 77. Tonight, it's moody, burping, toxic fog. A kid tugs your sleeve. Trade. She offers a vial of lava salt, purple crystals from the 2021 eruption. You swap your melted pen. Her grin fades. Don't whisper up there. The mountain repeats secrets louder. The trail ends at a sulfur crust, brittle as carnival candy. Steam hisses through cracks. Your dagger vibrates, a Morse code rant. You pocket it. Too late. The ground shudders, pebbles dance like popcorn. Tereste, alert. A ranger sprints uphill, waving. His walkie-talkie bleats static. 3 teenage herb tossers bolt past, hibiscus petals fluttering behind. The mountain growls a sound that liquefies your knees. You grab a rock. It's warm, alive almost. The ranger pants. No permits tonight. Seismic, the earth interrupts him. A crack splits the path. Molten ooze bubbles up, then hardens into obsidian mid-blob. The dagger leaps in your pocket, magnetized. You yelp. The ranger stares. New iPhone, midnight. The crater rim glows, a primordial nightlight. Your water bottle's boiling. Classic, you mutter. Far below, lava churns, a 700-foot lake of anger management issues. Scientists say it could drain in minutes. Locals say it'll happen when the mountain gets bored. Wind carries acid stink, rotten eggs, and regret. You shield your face. The dagger's humming morphs, a low, anxious drone. Lava spits a fountain, briefly tracing a shape, maybe a crown, maybe paranoia. Voices rise from the fog, French, Swahili, something older. The ranger's gone. Kids' laughter echoes. You turn no one. The dagger burns. You drop it, it levitates, tip pointing magma ward. Since when could it do that? Great, possessed cutlery. You grab it. The hilt sears your palm. The blade tugs downward toward the lava. Teamwork, apparently. I'm not your suicide pact, buddy. It yanks harder. Screams echo below. Or is that just the mountain's indigestion? Sudden silence. The lava lake stills, a mirror reflecting the Milky Way. Your dagger droops, disappointed. Then the earth inhales. Rocks clatter into the abyss. You backpedal, skidding on gravel. The blade vibrates, not a warning, a welcome. Dawn bleeds scarlet. You stumble into town, hair reeking of hellish spa treatments. The internet cafe goat eyes your cracked phone. Told you, the proprietor shrugs. He slides over a moonshine shot, volcanic grit included. Next time, bring a longer stick. The dagger cools in your grip, sulking. A kid runs by, her arms full of fresh herbs. The mountain rumbles, less a threat now, more a punchline. You sip the drink. It tastes like burnt marshmallows and unresolved questions. Somewhere below, magma shifts, plotting its next prank. The volcanic grit still powders your hair as dawn bleeds into copper the sky, a burnt ledger of last night's chaos. You trudge north, where cracked earth replaces near Ragango's wrath. Dust devils spin like drunk ballerinas, and your throat's parched enough to trade the dagger for a juice box. A boy materializes, barefoot, clutching a reed flute bleached bone white. He points to a basin of fissured mud. Ghost Lake hunts here, but only when thirsty. You blink, the air shimmers. Waves lap at your boots. Wait. The lake's sudden, a mirror-flat expanse stretching to nowhere. Fishermen materialize too, their canoes patchworked with rust and barnacles. Nets drag clattering with ribcage, jawbones. A skull still sporting gold teeth. Your dagger quivers, a tuning fork struck by dread. One rower turns. Empty sockets lock onto you, his oars a femur. Tourist, seasons slow, you mutter. The skeleton pauses, tips a non-existent hat. Historians still argue whether these legends began with drowned salt traders or sun-stroked merchants hallucinating mirages. A vendor hawks drought tea from a cart, boiled acacia bark and desperation. You sip, it tastes like licking a tombstone. Real lake's deeper, she croaks, nodding where the water just wasn't. Sahel droughts in the 70s starved real lakes. Chad shrunk by 90%. This one, it drinks memory instead. The boy plays his flute, a hollow keen that prickles your molars. Fishermen chant. Their jawbones clack in rhythm. Nets rise dripping vertebrae. A carp wriggles free, then rots midair, collapsing into scales and stink. Catch and release, you deadpan. The dagger sizzles its edge etching symbols in the sand. Sumerian, Klingon, auto-repair. Moonlight fractures the scene. The lake retreats, stranding catfish skeletons that flap like wind-up toys. That kid's flute gleams. His fingers, are they webbed? You rub your eyes, he's gone. A seashell rests where he stood, ear-shaped, humming with tide sounds. Press it to your ear, whispers slither out. 18 men dragged under for stealing pearls, dawn threatens. Fishermen fade, their canoes dissolving into mist. Bone piles remain. You pocket a knucklebone. Mistake. It throbs. A heartbeat refused the grave. The dagger's hilt frosts over. Teamwork, huh? You lob the bone back. It arcs, then plummets straight down, as if the lake still hungers below. Footprints scar the mud yours, plus smaller ones. They lead to a shack plastered with fish scale shingles. Inside, maps tattooed on goat hides, a Ouija board repurposed as a dinner tray. A grandmother stirs snail soup. They're not ghosts, she rasps, just delayed. Her ladle points to a mural skeletons, hauling a net full of shadows. Your dagger hums, a new Morse code obsession. Outside, the lake's a mirage again. A kiddie pool of cracked dirt. But that shell still murmurs ocean static, and the knucklebone's pulse lingers in your palm. You spit tea into the dust. It hisses, the vendor cackles. Careful, this lands a crossword, every puddle's a trick question. The dagger agrees, steaming like a pissed-off tea kettle. You sheath it. Message received. Morning sun ignites the basin. Heat waves dance, a distorted hula of nothingness. Somewhere under your feet, oars scrape. A net clinks. Gold teeth glint. Heat shimmers above the cracked lake bed. Its ghostly waters now a distant itch under your boots. The knucklebone's heartbeat thrums through your pack. Thud thud, a metronome guiding you west. Markets bloom like fungi after rain, tents stitched from camel leather. Stalls sagging under brass scales and lies. You smell the ivory first, sour milk, and tomb air. A carver's stall squats ahead, his chisel clinking against a tusk taller than you. Shavings curl, pearl gray spirals dissolving as they hit the dust. His hands shake, each chip mirroring the twitch in your knucklebone. Blessing or burden? He asks, not looking up. The answer's etched in his crow's feet. 20 paces left. A vendor hawks powdered ivory in vials. Cures insomnia, she barks. History's irony stings. 14th century Timbuktu apothecaries prescribed the same nonsense. Sleep via extinction. You flick a vial. It topples, white puffs, escaping like captive ghosts. The carver's blade slips, nicking his thumb. Blood beads on ivory. Historians still argue whether master carvers were revered or reviled as death's accountants. He licks the wound, tastes metal and shame. His latest commission, a chess set, kings for a Dubai hotel lobby. Sun glares off a half-carved elephant trunk, its trumpet frozen midair. Your dagger vibrates, angry hornet trapped in its sheath. You lean closer. The tusk's grain whispers. Faint, distant, a rumble. Not the market's din, an echo of herds stomping red earth. A buyer elbows past, robes reeking of oud and entitlement. He examines the chess pieces. No flaws, he snaps. The carver nods, carves deeper. Your knucklebone pulses faster. That rumble builds, a sub-bass growl even the flies avoid. You spot the ledger pages yellowed, entries in Swahili and greed. 19 tusks from Ambosley, 8 juveniles, 3 midwives. Midwives. Oh, female elders guiding matriarchs through birth. The math murders you. 400 years ago, great Zimbabwe's kings traded ivory for Chinese porcelain. Some dynasties collapse under their own weight. A child tugs your sleeve, offers, lucky, ivory shards on a string. Her teeth gleam brown at the gums. Fluorosis. Or the well's arsenic. Either way, she's 7 flavors of doomed. You palm a coin into her fist, send her scattering. The carver grunts, steps back. His masterpiece unveiled. A queen's crown studded with garnets. Fruit flies swarm the blood on its edge. Finished, he croaks. The buyer smirks, tosses a wad of francs. They flutter, lazy moths. The carver doesn't catch them. Shadows stretch, the market's pulse fading. You linger. The discarded tusk base remains its core hollowed, but still humming. Press your ear to it. A vibration travels your jawbone, trumpet blare. Then a wet gurgle. The dagger flares hot, branding your hip through the leather. Night arrives, kerosene lamps hissing. The carver drinks millet beer, staring at his blistered palms. His tools rust in the blood-crusted sand. You sip palm wine, its vinegar cut with sweat. Why not wood, you ask. He snorts. Wood doesn't scream when you cut it. Your knucklebones quiet now, a stopped clock. Across the plaza, the buyer loads his chest set into a Land Cruiser. Ivory clacks, pieces laughing as they settle. Engines roar. Exhaust smothers the stars. Dawn leaks through again, sour and jaundiced. The stalls abandoned. Wind riffles, the ledger flips to an old sketch. Elephants grazing near Kilimanjaro, drawn by someone who'd actually seen one. In the margin, a note. Allah forgive me. You pocket a carving knife left in the sand, its handle greasy with regret. The market wakes, haggling resumes. No one hears it, but the rumble persists. Somewhere past the sewage ditch, past the soccer field, past every terrible choice, a matriarch trumpets. Her call fractures into static, into silence. The dagger sighs, a sleepwalker denied revenge. You melt into the crowd, ivory dust, clinging to your soles like cursed confetti. Mangrove roots claw upward, blackened fingers grasping at your canoe's hull. Brackish water sloshes lichen green, and thick as broth, a heron watches, judge's gavel poised to condemn. You paddle silent, ivory dust still gritting your palms from that cursed market. The bride sits rigid, beads clattering down her spine like retreating icicles. Her indigo veil ripples, airbrushed with the tang of fermenting palm wine. Dowry jars line the stern, each clay belly packed with red laterite soil. Historians note Delta brides carried homeland earth to ground marriages. Though one anthropologist insists it was just backup material for pottery emergencies. Cicadas screech, a sound that give car alarms inferiority complexes. Your paddle grazes something submerged, a log. Crocodile, ancient Nokia phone. The Delta keeps its secrets. Her chaperone glares, a great aunt with a face like a pickled walnut. She mutters spells between beetle nut chews, half protection charm, half critique of your steering. Left, you city termite. Mudskippers plop into the water, fleeing her voice. You pass a fishing weir, its bamboo ribs festooned with plastic bags. Modern offerings to river gods. The bride's beads still, her breath catches. Ahead, her new village, thatched roofs, huddle behind mango groves. Smoke spirals dissolving into monsoon clouds. The soil jars shift, a low tectonic grumble. One lid's loose, you glimpse the contents. Not just dirt, rusted nails. A Coca-Cola cap, a molar tooth, quirky detail. Maybe, creepy, definitely. A fish eagle shrieks, the bride jumps. Her henned hand darts out, stealing a pinch of soil from the closest jar. She tucks it under her tongue, a earthy lozenge. Tradition or stage fright? Delta scholars still argue whether this act wards off evil in-laws or counts as light snacking. Mangrove's thin water gives way to hyacinth-choked shallows. The great ant hisses, flings a dried scorpion at the water. It floats tiny black apostrophe, correcting the river's text. Your canoe grinds onto shore. The groom's family approaches, their white robes fluorescent against the gloom. An uncle prods the dowry jars, disappointed they're not Uber Eats. The bride rises beads cascading like a shattered chandelier. Her foot dips into the water, a catfish darts between her toes. You glimpse her toes, each painted with mosquito-repelling neem paste. Practical and tragically unmanicured. Drums stutter, a hesitant rhythm. Someone's phone rings, Nokia tune. The great aunt confiscates it, tosses it into the river. A gurgle, silence, progress Delta style. Night falls, kerosene lamps bloom. The bride vanishes into a hut, her beaded silhouette shrinking with each layer removed. You linger at the feast. Goat stew steams beside cans of lukewarm Fanta. Laterite soil mounds on the groom's threshold, 7 miniature Kilimanjaros. A toddler grabs a handful, licks it. His mother slaps his wrist. Not for eating. This week, her tone implies. Midnight, the delta hums, frogs tuning for their concerto. You nap against a palm, dream of ivory shavings. A bead rolls into your lap cold as a widow's wedding ring. The bride stands at water's edge veilless. Her mouth moves words drowned by bullfrogs. 2 soil jars rest at her feet, lids open. Empty. Dawn leaks through mist, jade light on the canoe. You push off, a parting gift of yams thudding in the stern. The bride watches from shore, or maybe her shadow does. Hard to tell in this light. Currents pull you seaward, mangroves whispering behind. 1 bead winks from the murk, sinking slow. You count seconds until it vanishes. 7, unlucky number. The river sighs, a reluctant accomplice to every goodbye. Embers pop, each spark a dying firefly. You hunch closer, shoulder brushing the sweat-stiff canvas of someone's tent. The storyteller's voice rasps, a file dragged over rusted steel. Hyenas don't laugh. They peel sanity like bark. Someone snorts tourist in a solar panel hat. The guide glares, his face carved deeper than the Olduvai Gorge. He stokes flames. Shadows leap into hyena shapes on the acacia trunks. Dry grass crunches, but there's no wind. You sip bush tea bitter as unripe persimmon. The storyteller continues, hands pantomiming jaws. 1934. German East Africa railway camps. Workers swore black-maned, laughing devils, circled their tents nightly. Historians blame sleep deprivation and amphetamine-laced stimulants issued by colonial overseers. You imagine a hyena snout, pausing mid-chuckle to read Mein Kampf. The solar hat guy scrolls his phone, glare bleaching his face corpse blue. The guide mutters, a Swahili curse lost under the kettle's whistle. Far off, a whoop spirals into that jagged cackle. 3 notes up, 4 down, like a clown drowning in reverse. Everyone freezes, even the cicadas. Zebras, says solar hat voice cracking. The guide laughs, a perfect hyena replica. Tense chuckles ripple, but your scalp prickles. That wasn't the guide. Flames dip, smoke stings your nostrils with burnt myrrh. The storyteller pulls a kudu horn from her pack, filled with pebbles. Shake this if they come close. They hate arithmetic. No one asks how she knows. You remember Senegal's Gorée Island tour guides claiming certain trees absorbed slaves' screams. Same theatrical desperation. But here, the dark feels chewed at the edges. The laugh comes again, closer. Solar Hat's phone trembles, recording static. The guide snaps twigs too loud. Hyenas' jaws crush femur bones, but their brains, smaller than your ego. He stares at Solar Hat. Someone mentions the 2007 hyena parliament myth, whispers of a Kenyan clan where spotted matriarchs supposedly mimicked human debates. Fake news, scoffs the guide. Yet his hand drifts to his machete. Moonlight snags on something, yellow icing, 20 paces east. Phone flashlights click on, swaying like drunk fireflies. The beam catches nothing. Just thorn scrub and your guide's discarded Fanta can. Rice reheats over coals, Last Supper vibes. The storyteller winks, claims hyenas dig up graves through the soles of buried feet. Wear shoes to funerals, she advises. You glance at your boots, zipped tight. Wind rises, carrying that laugh again. Or maybe dozens, overlapping, braiding. The coffee pot tips, steaming mud hisses into flames. Solar Hat bolts, stumbles toward his tent. The guide yells, wait, but it's too late. The camp stills. Frogs hold their breath. You count seconds, 97 before his scream. Short, guttural, cut mid-note. Flashlights dash, illuminating his tent. Zipper shut. Nobody inside. A single flip-flop still warm. The guide spits, pronounces him an idiot. Hyenas hate flip-flops. Told him. No one mentions the untouched laptop glowing on his cot. Dawn arrives, pale and apologetic. You find hyena tracks, three-toed, asymmetrical, skirting the picnic table. No blood. No drag marks. Just a patch of flattened grass where someone or something lay watching. The guide packs hurriedly, mutters about payroll deductions. The storyteller offers you the kudu horn. For luck, you shake it, pebbles clatter like loose teeth. Your jeep departs, flinging dust. In the rear view, a silhouette lopes beside the road, too tall for a hyena, too crooked for a human. Your hand grips the horn, calculating survival against basic arithmetic. The thing tilts its head and laughs. You don't look back. Some questions outpace answers. The jeep's tires crunch over gravel, each stone a dying ember of your hyena camp adrenaline. Night falls like a dropped curtain. Stars smeared across the sky like torch soot. Ahead, a village clings to the hillside, mud huts, glowing orange through pierced tin lanterns. Your guide mutters something about mask season and tourist tax before abandoning you at a termite-chewed gate. You duck through bead curtains into a hut smelling of burnt palm oil and frankincense. An elder presides, wrinkles mapping drought years, her hands polishing wood that doesn't shine. The mask watches from the wall, carved mahogany shifting as smoke curls past. First, a grin, teeth like splintered bone. You blink, now it scowls, eye holes leaking shadow. Ignore its games, croaks the elder, rubbing the wood with thumbprints. It's rehearsing. She claims this Luba mask once belonged to a 16th century court jester. Historians still argue whether such performers were diplomats or spies. Your neck hairs rise, the mask's brow furrows, mimicking your own skepticism. 3 drums begin a lazy rhythm. Outside, the village square pulses with firelight. Teenagers haul out relics, colonial-era rifles, rebranded as dance staffs, vodka bottles, clutching dried scorpions. The elder snaps, orders you to sit. Her grandchild demonstrates safe masks, an antelope headdress, a sun-bleached politician's face. All stay blessedly still. The problem mask now drips sap or saliva from its lower lip. The elder tosses cornmeal at it, hisses a phrase that translates roughly to, "Not tonight, auntie." You ask why no one burns the thing. She laughs, reveals 3 missing teeth, and says fire makes it multiply. A drunk villager staggers in, demands the mask for his uncle's funeral. The elder refuses. You owe 7 goats from last time, but he grabs it anyway. The second his fingers touch wood, his eyes glaze. He recites numbers in Swahili, prime sequences, until the elder slaps him. He drops the mask, wanders out dazed. You notice the carvings, now not ceremonial patterns, but a twisted genealogy. Names in Arabic script, colonial tax records, modern Wi-Fi symbols. The elder catches your stare. It copies what it eats. She won't clarify. Drums falter, someone shrieks. In the square, the mask leans against a speaker, grinning at the chaos. Partygoers freeze mid-dance, their faces slack. A toddler points, giggles, the woodman's dancing. You see only the mask, motionless, yet the earth trembles under your boots. The elder shoves a goatskin pouch into your hands, salt and magnetite, for the road. Outside, Jeep headlights slice through the dark. You climb in, glancing back. The mask now wears your expression, wide-eyed mouth, a perfect O of surprise. Tires bite dust. Your driver plays Congolese rumba too loud. But under the bass line, you hear it. Subtle wet. The sound of wood creaking into a smile. Half a mile out, you check the rear view. The mask sits beside you, dry sap gleaming like a fresh scar. It tilts, testing a new angle, jaw unhinging to yawn. You toss the magnetite pouch into its open mouth. The mask gags, spits out nails, and a 1972 Zambian coin before dissolving into sawdust. The wind carries it away, every fragment whispering a different name. Your driver never notices. Some horrors specialize in being seen, but never caught. Dawn finds you at a border checkpoint, gruff officers demanding artifact permits. You show empty hands. They wave you through. As the Jeep accelerates, you feel a tickle on your neck. A woodlouse crawls from your collar, carrying a splinter etched with your initials. The woodlouse vanishes into your shirt collar, carrying its miniature vandalism toward destinations unknown. You swat absently, fingers grazing a scar from last week's mask fiasco. The Jeep crests a ridge, suddenly all bees. Dozens swarm the windshield, their buzz syncs with the engine's sputter. Your driver curses, cracks the window, air floods in thick with the scent of scorched sugar. Ahead, figures scale acacia trunks like shadow puppets on fast forward. Honey hunters, grunts the driver, wiping thoraxes off the dashboard. Crazy season bees get mean before storms. He's not wrong. The sky purples like a healing bruise. You step out, sand grates your teeth. Or is that crystallized honey? A hunter descends barefoot, rope harness creaking, clay pot strapped to his back. Inside, golden globs bubble with trapped heat. He offers a drizzle on cracked bread. The first taste hits floral smoky, with a hint of impending poor decisions. From the king tree, he says, pointing upward. Lightning forks in the distance, briefly backlighting a hive the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. Historians still argue whether ancient Malian royals really bathed in honey. But after this bite, you'd believe anything. Teenagers lug hollow logs toward the trucks, traditional hives swaying like drunken piñatas. One cracks open, oh God, the smell. Rotting mangoes, burnt hair, and overwhelming sweetness. You gag. The hunter laughs. Jackal piss keeps elephants away. Effective, you'd flee too. Thunder groans. Bees dive bomb your hair, apparently mistaking it for a tragic floral arrangement. The workers scramble, lashing hives with vines. A girl taps your arm, presses a comb into your palm. Warm wax pools between your fingers. The hexagons are suspiciously perfect. Termites engineered these, she whispers. We just borrow them. Before you can fact check, rain bullets down, each drop kicking up dust. The hunter yells, you clamber into the jeep. Lightning splits an acacia 3 trucks ahead, wood shrapnel pelting the road. The driver floors it, wipers smearing honey and rainwater into psychedelic streaks. In the rear view, a boy dances under the storm, mouth open to catch hive drippings. His laughter echoes through your rolled-up window, either joy or protein-drunk delirium. Hours later, parked at a petrol station, you lick leftover honey from your wrist. The scarred hunter pulls up on a moped, offers a jar labeled Thunder Harvest 23. You decline. He shrugs, unscrews the lid, and dumps a spoonful into his gas tank. For luck, he winks. As he sputters away, you swear his exhaust smells like caramel. The attendant snorts, don't ask. Last week, a guy tried papaya sap, melted his piston. Rain fades to mist. You peel a honey-stuck photo from your pocket, the mask's splintered grin now, speckled with amber blobs. The woodlouse emerges, antennae glazed in sticky residue, and nibbles the edge, a tiny chuckle, or maybe just mandibles clicking. Roadside signs warn of elephants. You toss the jar onto the passenger seat, its contents sloshing like liquid sunlight. Sleep tugs your eyelids, but the bees haven't finished with you. A drone crawls from the AC vent, legs dusted in pollen. It zigzags, lands on the speedometer, and dies with a tiny thrum. You nudge it with a pen body, disintegrating into sparkly powder. The driver mumbles something about hive ghosts and cranks the radio. Night falls, your headlight catches a figure by the roadside. Bee cloak shimmering, clay pot steaming, arm raised in farewell. You glance away just for a heartbeat, but when you look back, only thorn scrub and shadows. The hive hum fades. Stillness settles, broken by the drip of honey seeping into your cup holder. Damn, that's going to attract ants. The cup holder's honey puddle glints under highway lamps, now more ant highway than snack. You flick a coin into the sticky mess. A half-hearted offering to whatever god handles cross-species traffic jams. The radio crackles, a news bulletin about villages flooding upstream. The Niger's throwing another tantrum, the driver mutters, third longest river in Africa. But everyone forgets it's got the temperament of a teenager denied Wi-Fi. Red mud slicks the road ahead. You skid past a hand-painted sign. Don't feed the river. A boy sprints by flinging clay shards into the water. For the spirits, he hollers. His sandals slap against the bank, each step sinking deeper, until the river licks his ankles. Historians still argue whether medieval Timbuktu's submerged libraries were accident or sacrifice. But that kid's grin suggests he's team, intentional offering. Barges rock violently, their hulls screeching like strained elevator cables. Fishermen haul nets bursting with catfish, and one defiant bicycle. Happens every flood season, shrugs a woman scaling tilapia. The Niger giveth, and the Niger taketh away, mostly Takarati's laundry. You spot a mother crouched in the reeds, tossing coins into the current. Her whispers blend with the river's hiss. 500 francs to drown the noise under your waves, she pleads. The water gulps each coin without burping. Local legend says hippos drag disrespectful swimmers into underwater cities, but the only hippo you see is a graffiti tag on a Baobab. A canoe drifts by empty, except for a single drum. Its beat doesn't match the current's rhythm, like someone's paddling in reverse. Tourists tried rafts last week, snorts the tilapia woman. Used GPS, life jackets, even sunscreen. River ate their oars. Wood came back 3 days later, carved with nonsense hieroglyphs. She pauses. Also, they forgot to pack snacks. Amateurs. Across the bank, a submerged mosque's minaret pierces the surface like a periscope. Boys dive for relics, surfacing with clay tiles and soggy denial. Found Mansa Musa's bathroom. One claims, waving a cracked chamber pot. You half expect a gold flake to gleam in the muck. Nightfall turns the Niger mercury silver. Villagers light reed torches, their reflections fracturing in the chop. A toddler chucks a mango into the water, waits. When no spirit grabs it, she shrugs and chomps the next one herself. 3 elders argue by a dying fire. It's the dam in Guinea. No Russian satellites. You fools, the river's just thirsty for palm wine. Their shadows twist on the sand longer than physics should allow. You wade in knee-deep silt sucking at your shoes. Something brushes your calf, probably a catfish, definitely not a hand. The current tugs your shirt tail, insistent. A fisherman yells. You stumble back as a whirlpool boils where you stood. Bargain with it, he advises, chomping a cola nut. Drop something precious, but not your phone. Rivers got no chargers. You empty your pockets, half-melted honey taffy. A termite-chewed map, the scarred woodlouse. The insect waves its antennae, dignity intact despite the honey shellac. You hesitate, then lob it toward the rapids. The Niger swallows it mid-arc. Seconds later, a geyser erupts, spraying lemon-scented mist. The fisherman nods. Woodlice are out-of-office responders for water gods. Didn't you know? Before you can process that, he tosses you a machete. Now chop bait. Dinner's happening, whether the river likes it or not. Dawn reveals bleached animal skulls along the shore, arranged in arrow shapes. Pointing where? A teenager on a motorbike revs past, yelling about a new island emerging near Gao. It's got hieroglyphs and everything. Also, maybe quicksand. Your driver revives the Jeep, radio now blaring Malian pop. The river's roar fades, replaced by staticky vocals and a synth loop. Last night's offering spot sits empty, just a single coin glinting in the mud. Tails side up and slightly melted as you pull onto the highway. The woodlouse materializes on your shoulder, cleaner, glossier, smug. It deposits a grain of sand on your collar, a miniature souvenir. You flick it into the wind and watch the Niger twist west, already plotting its next rebellion. Heat shimmers above the asphalt, your Jeep's AC wheezing like a defeated accordion. A figure crouches roadside, smearing dirt onto canvas with her bare hands. Pigments, she barks, not looking up. Crushed termite mounds. Sunset clay, Saharan dust from 73. Her brush licks the fabric cracks forming before the paint dries. You kneel, pebbles biting your shins, and recognize the scene. Same fissured earth you drove past, but here, the cracks swallow whole villages. Commission, you ask, she snorts. Memorial, drought sneaky, eats landscapes nibble by nibble. Her thumbnail etches a Baobab skeleton, roots groping upward like desperate fingers. The canvas ripples. You blink, swear the painted sand just shifted. Gallery lights would fry this piece, melt its ochre veins into Rorschach puddles. Her brush freezes. Tourists pay extra for the trick. She flips the canvas. The cracks reassemble into a woman's face. Dry-eyed, lips parted mid-curse. Historians still argue whether medieval Mali's indigo dyes were meant to mimic parched riverbeds, or just caused really bad laundry days. The artist digs into her kit, pulls a vial labeled monsoon in a jar. West African rain clouds, bottled 62, €50 per drop. You decline. Bad enough paying airport prices for bottled water. A goat trots over, chewing the canvas edge. The painter yelps, chases it with her easel. Last week, hyenas ate my Kilimanjaro study. Left the frame, licked the snow right off. She stabs her brush into the dirt. A beetle scuttles from the impact zone. You spot her other works, propped against a termite mound. Portraits ooze gallery humidity, simulated by a kiddie pool, rigged with a hair dryer. Cobalt blues sweat vermilion drips. A zebra's stripes melt into prison bars. It's critique, she mutters. Moisture is colonialism. A tourist group approaches, their guide shouting over wind. Note the artist's use of real Saharan dust. Each grain contains 0.3% pharaoh DNA. They snap photos, ignoring her glare. One man pockets a crumbled paint blob. Souvenir for my cat, he explains. The cat would have preferred tuna. She grabs your sleeve nails flecked with mica. They call it decay. I call it collaboration. Gravity's the real curator. A painting slips from its stand, hitting the ground in slow motion. Dust blooms, revealing a hidden layer children chasing a rainstorm. Their painted faces warp, laughing mouths stretching into silent screams. You step back, crushing a locust carcass underfoot. Its wings stick to your shoe, tiny membranes glinting like stained glass. The painter notices. Careful, they're staging a comeback tour. She flicks a match, ignites a pyre of failed sketches. Smoke curls into numerals, maybe 12, maybe Roman IV. The wind disagrees. Ever seen pigment cry? She opens a coffee can, revealing moldy azurite paste. Gallery spotlights ruined this batch, but under museum-grade LEDs, its tears flowed upward. Collectors called it revolutionary. Scientists called it capillary action. You call it overpriced dehydration theater. A bead of sweat rolls off your chin, hits the dirt. The painter pounces, dips her pinky in the moisture, drags it across the canvas, creating a lone, glistening rivulet. Contraband, she grins. Human humidity's illegal in 3 counties. Her tongue darts out, tasting Lagos 98 humidity, or maybe last Tuesday's sunscreen. The goat returns, balancing a cracked gourd on its head. Inside, fermented sap slurping against clay. The painter drinks deep, offers you a sip. It tastes like cactus blood and bad decisions. Drought-resistant moonshine, she slurs, distilled during a heat wave, uses 73% less tears. As you leave, she's arguing with a sandstorm, flinging turmeric powder into the wind. Call this an exhibit label, she yells. The sky responds by scouring her latest piece down to raw linen. You pocket a fallen brush bristle, wondering if it'll dissolve in your sweat. The Jeep's seat scalds your thighs through denim. Driver cranks the radio, weatherman predicting rains that'll erase July. You glance back. The painter's a speck now, her easel sprouting from the dirt like some thorny, postmodern cactus. On the horizon, storm clouds bruise the sky. Either a masterpiece or a really aggressive front moving in. The storm's first breath whips dust into your eyes, grit grinding between molars as you stumble toward laughter. Children's voices rise over moaning wind. A dozen kids whacking tire scraps with palm frond swords. Warrior, warrior. Hyena dies at sunset. Chants a girl with braids clattering like shaken pebbles. You duck as a rubber chunk sails overhead. It plows into a termite mound, sending laborers airborne. 2 boys wrestle over a spear, during last week's camel stampede. Historians still argue whether Great Zimbabwe's stone game boards were military strategy tools or just really intense tic-tac-toe. A toddler thrusts a stick at your shin, its blade wrapped in duct tape and what smells like fermented honey. "You're the hyena now," she declares. Custom demands you collapse dramatically, but your knees protest the packed earth. Compromise, a half-hearted stagger into shadow. The older kids aren't fooled. Tourist plays dead too slow. Jeers a boy spinning a hubcap shield. His sister corrects him. Dead hyenas don't blink, before bonking him with a foam sandal. Their debate rivals any academic conference, minus the canapes. You spot granite slabs, half buried near a baobab, their surfaces pocked with ancient cupules. A 1972 anthropology paper swore children near these sites scored higher on pattern tests. The current scholars, too busy digging mud from their sandals to notice, Wind yanks a tire toward the horizon. The pack gives chase, screams blending into the gale. Only the girl with pebble braids remains, tracing cracks in the stone. Gran says these are grandma's game, she mutters, but I added laser swords. Her thumb rubs a depression worn smooth by generations. For a heartbeat, the rock feels warmer than the air. Loose sand swirls into miniature dunes between the carvings, as if the board's resetting itself. Don't step there. She points to crumbling earth where roots snake like buried veins. Hyena's belly. You freeze one boot hovering over what's either a fossilized burrow or just a hole. She nods solemnly. Last week, Kojo vanished for 3 days, came back smelling like old onions. The pack returns, dragging their tire trophy. A debate erupts. Does capturing the hyena's heart require dancing or just loud fart noises? Rules shift faster than sand, though everyone agrees peeing on the victory pile is forbidden. Since Tuesday, lightning forks the sky. Ants evacuate their mound in single file. The kids whoop, tossing sticks at the buzzing column. One child licks the air. Rain tastes like Baba's armpit. Another counters, like goat pee and mangoes. A third adds, like Mama's phone charger burning. The Baobab shudders for half a breath. Its branches twist into something like an old woman's reaching arms. Pebble Braid Girl sees it too. She stomps her foot. No cheating, anti-wind. The tree stills. Just a trick of the storm, probably. Men's voices echo from the road. Archaeology students lugging laser gear. The pack freezes, then swarms them with ancient warrior challenges. Thesis, notes fly. A boy in Avengers briefs declares their transit log, cursed by hyena ghosts. The students panic, exactly as planned. Beneath the chaos, a weathered hand tugs your sleeve. An elder perches on the game's slab skin like sun-cracked leather. You didn't see her approach, but her feet are coated in the same orange dust pooling at your shoes. They'll forget, she rasps, nodding at the children. Again, her palm slaps the stone, the cupules glow faintly. Played this as a girl as my mother did, as her mother's enemies did. A cough racks her frame. Always two sides, always someone laughing, someone lost. Thunder shakes the ground. The kids abandon their hostages, piling into a shrieking pyramid. The elder spits into the wind. Debates, games outlive empires. She taps a carving shaped like hyena tracks. This survived shakas, wars, colonial maps, disco. Her grin reveals a gold-capped tooth. It'll survive their theories. Raindrops slap the slab, filling ancient grooves. The game board becomes a liquid maze, strategy dissolving into chaos. Pebble braid girl howls, dancing through the downpour as rival teams melt. New rules, hyenas versus lightning. The elder vanishes, only her wet palm print darkening on the stone. You pocket a pebble from the victory pile, already warm against your thigh. Somewhere, a mud brick wall crumbles, its collapse drowned by children's laughter, rising with the storm. Sunrise paints the agates markets in indigo and flies. You sidestep a camel's load, wooden vats sloshing blue-black dye that reeks like fermented spinach, its furs stained denim from 100 trips. The beast glares as merchants yank its frayed rope. Hup, hup, move your blue ass. Camels hauled salt and gold here for centuries. This one's downgraded to hauling vats of dye, made from Indigofera tinctoria. Historians still argue whether medieval Tuareg traders dyed their camels on purpose, sacred ritual, or just side effect. The beast sneezes, splattering a tourist's linen pants with liquid midnight. A vendor waves you over his stall overflows with azure powder and desiccated scorpions. Guaranteed protection from evil eyes, or I'll eat a live camel. His teeth gleam bluer than the merchandise. The camel groans, its joints creaking under vats, strapped with recycled tire rubber. You notice a child etching crude anti-thief symbols into the dye, same markings found on 14th century caravan contracts. Her mother chases her off before the trader notices. You'll jinx the profit margins. Beside you, a dyer stirs her cauldron with a giraffe femur. Secret recipe, she whispers. Adds aggression. Buyers think indigo's brighter when it fights back. Her laugh lines are stained permanent sapphire. The camel's tail flicks, spattering a haggling customer. Allah's mercy, you're worse than my mother-in-law. The trader shrugs, offers a discount on pre-decorated fabric. Underfoot, squashed berries mix with dung into a sludge Picasso would envy. You slip, grabbing the camel's harness to steady yourself. It exhales through flared nostrils, a hot, indigo-scented sigh that says, I remember dunes. Dye boys dart past, their hands gloved in goat bladder to avoid stains. One trips, his bucket arcs blue over a henna artist's display. Chaos erupts. Accusations fly in Tamahak and Pidgin French. Historians love these markets' multilingual haggling, but skip how free trade often means free-for-all. The camel seizes its chance, dipping a weary neck toward a puddle. A trader's whip cracks. It jerks back vats sloshing. Your shoes are now officially part of the art scene. At the edge of the plaza, an old man unloads vats with a pulley system from the 1800s. Cheaper than camels, he crows. No one listens. He's been saying this since the 90s. The blue camel lowers itself onto dust, its protest audible even over the market's din. Traders kick sand at its haunches. It groans like a broken cello. You spot the henna artist from earlier, now incorporating the accidental splatter into her designs. Modern fusion, she declares, charging double. The camel rolls its eyes, or tries to, through crusted dye. 3 teens skateboard past on a borrowed plank. They've greased the wheels with rendered goat fat. The camel watches, swiveling ears, tracking their recklessness. Maybe remembering gallops across open wadis. Maybe just annoyed. A tourist aims her phone flash on. The camel belches, misting her lens with indigo saliva. She screams. The trader doubles over laughing. No refunds for bad selfies. Dust devils spiral through the market, grabbing loose scarves and price tags. The camel sneezes again, this time hitting a spice rack. Turmeric, indigo, and rage mingle into a haze of ochre and ultramarine. As noon bleaches shadows, the beast finally unloads. It stands, shake-shattering dried dye into a cloud of azure pollen. The trader coughs, curses. The camel wanders toward a puddle of dubious origin, liberty, in piss-colored water. You glimpse its profile against the sun, stained fur glowing like cobalt glass. For a heartbeat, it looks mythic. Then it pees on a Merced's hood. History marches on. The cobalt twilight bleeds into a velvet smudge as oil lamps flicker awake, their smoke carrying cumin and deceit. You step over day-old donkey dung, now fossilizing beside a toothless crone hawking scorpion kebabs. Fresh, she lies, turning her skewers with fingers stained permanent saffron. Midnight markets thrive on what daylight deems unworthy. Tonight's menu includes wilted mint, misfit coins, and regrets. 3 teens shuffle past, hoodies up trading bootleg SIM cards for a vial labeled Lion's Courage. The vendor's grin suggests it's mostly goat urine. A girl materializes, her braids threaded with owl feathers that shiver like static. 5 cowries for the truth, she offers, palms up. You counter with half a bag of stale cashews. Historians adore Timbuktu's role in medieval trade. Less so its modern barter economy, fueled by expired snacks. She examines your nuts with a jeweler's squint, drops them into a pouch made of sewn bat wings. Deal. Her eyes catch the lamplight, pupils swallowing the glow like wet ink. You're handed a feather, edges unnaturally sharp. For seeing behind smiles, she murmurs, already melting into the crowd. The air thickens, sandalwood and diesel. A one-eared baker peddles moon-shaped bread under a tarp that billows like a jellyfish. Baked during eclipse, he croaks, tapping his wooden leg for emphasis. You spot rodent footprints in the dough. Nearby, a scholar in a frayed boo-boo argues with a robot vacuum someone's repurposed as a spice grinder. No, cardamom needs counterclockwise swirls. The machine beeps indignantly, spewing turmeric across his dissertation notes. His sigh could power a small sailboat. You pass a stall draped in dried chameleons, each posed mid-crawl on miniature funeral biers. The vendor mimes zipping his lips, then pantomimes their guaranteed stealth effects. A tourist buys 6, probably for her cheating husband's sock drawer. The owl feather twitches in your grip, twisting toward a stall stacked with grimoires bound in hyena leather. Their pages rustle, though no wind blows. The bookseller yawns, revealing a tongue split down the middle, interested in unspoken histories. He licks his lips, the halves moving independently. A commotion erupts. Someone's goat just ate a vendor's entire stock of virgin rain sticks. The culprit bleats smugly, hollow seeds clattering in its gut as it prances past. That's a metaphor, mutters a passing nun, her rosary beads made of recycled bullet casings. Your feather tugs harder, leading you to a cluttered table manned by a child in oversized sunglasses. Anti-nightmare talismans, he announces, pushing forward a jar of crow skulls filled with honey. Also works on Wi-Fi signals. He adjusts his shades. You glimpse mirrored lenses reflecting nothing but void. You pause at a carpet of rusted keys, each tagged with crumbling parchment. 50 for the Louvre's secret basement, offers a man missing 3 fingers. 20 for Churchill's deleted fart diaries. His wink suggests he's sold these lies since the Cold War. The owl feather slices your thumb, a paper-cut sting. Blood beads splattering the cobblestones. Instantly, the market stills. Vendors freeze, their eyes flickering animal bright in the gloom. A toothless man sniffs the air, nostrils flaring. Outsider blood, hisses the hyena leather bookseller, fork tongue darting. The nun stops mid-prayer, bullet beads clicking like a Geiger counter. The girl reappears, slipping between bodies with eel grace. She grabs your wrist, her grip cold as a forgotten doorknob. Walk, don't speak. The crowd parts, muttering in Hassaniya dialect. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's midnight markets began as rebel gatherings or just really bad insomnia support groups. She drags you past a stall selling mummified roosters said to crow at approaching death. One twitches, its leathery, comb brushing your sleeve. The vendor makes the sign against evil, or maybe just an old hip injury. Down an alley reeking of fermented tamarind, she stops. You owe 7 more cashews. You empty your pockets, lint, a euro coin, and a gum wrapper. She pockets the lint. Fair trade. From her robe, she produces a vial of liquid starlight, or maybe just bioluminescent algae. For your curiosity, it pulses in time with your heartbeat. Drink it, see the strings. A drunk stumbles past, vomiting neon green kinkaliba tea. The girl flicks a grub into his hair. It glows until he staggers into the dark, followed by hungry giggling. They're watching, she nods toward the rooftops, where shadows coil like sentient smoke. but you knew that. Before you can ask who they are, she presses the vial into your palm and evaporates her braids, leaving afterimages of violet light. You're alone, clutching stolen moonlight, and a feather that started humming Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. The market's roar swells again. Someone's selling authentic alien skull fragments that look suspiciously like molded bakelite. Around midnight, the baker's tarp tears free, floating upward like a drunken phantom. The crowd cheers, tossing coins and chicken bones as it vanishes into the smog. As you exit, the nun blocks your path, her bullet beads now glowing faintly. That girl, she rasps. Her shadow has extra angles. She makes the sign of the cross, then the evil eye, then a vague jazz hands motion. The owl feather trembles, its tip pointing west. You follow, slipping past a donkey wearing a knitted sweater vest. It brays what might be a warning or a comment on your life choices. The owl feather twitches westward, past the sweater-vested donkey, toward a compound where rusted spears jut from clay walls like crooked teeth. A chief snores inside, his breath rattling, promises older than the Ashanti Empire. You trace a dagger's nick, its edge dulled by time and poor storage choices. Historians still argue whether these blades tasted battle or just stubborn goats who mocked their pomp. A teen warrior crouches nearby, his smartphone's glow competing with the hearth. He scrolls past TikTok dances, pauses at a video of Zulu reed ceremonies, sighs. His thumb hovers over a selfie pose, bicep flexed beside a crumbling spearhead. The disappointment's palpable, like ordering a lion and getting a damp house cat. Moths flirt with the fire, singeing wings in their eagerness to impersonate sparks. One lands on your sleeve, its antennae twitching toward the owl feather. Don't, you warn, flicking it toward a pot of palm wine. It dive bombs the liquid, instant, regrettable life choices. The chief's third wife shuffles by, anklets clinking, balancing a basket of millet cakes on her head. She side-eyes the teen's phone, mutters about soft hands and hard stupidity. You witness history's oldest generational battle, glossy screens versus calloused palms. Dealers of 16th century muskets probably said the same about gunpowder versus throwing stones. A spear clatters, its shaft splitting as the teen tests its weight. Rust flakes sprinkle his Jordans. He groans louder than the weapon's victims ever did. Golden stool replicas gather dust on a shelf, the Ashanti Empire's sacred symbol, reduced to Amazon Prime knickknacks. Your feather trembles, pointing to a blade notched by something that wasn't livestock. Moonlight slants through a crack, illuminating glyphs on the spear's hilt. They whisper under your touch, or maybe the termites are throwing a rave. A voice rasps behind you. That one fought at Fayes. The chief's awake, scratching a flea bite with ceremonial gravitas. His beard defies gravity and basic hygiene. He nods at the weapon. 1874. You know the story, British redcoats, stolen gold, the burning of Kumasi. But the blade hums a different tale of ambushes in mistrapped forests, of insults carved into musket stocks, of a soldier who traded his rifle for sugarcane rum and lived to regret it. The teen perks up. Gramps, can I eBay this? The chief's snort could power a wind turbine. He thumps a stool made from a 17th century drum, its hide still sweating ancestral rhythms. This app bah. He nearly swipes left on the entire 21st century. Overhead, a gecko stalks a moth, both unaware they're reenacting colonialism in miniature. Your feather jerks toward a shadowed alcove where 5 spears lie wrapped in faded Kente cloth. The chief freezes. Not those, but your stupid feet ignore him. Classic horror movie logic. The cloth sticks to your fingers, damp with something definitely not due. The blades underneath gleam unnaturally sharp. No rust, no patina, just hungry edges whispering, try us. Quirky tidbit alert. Locals swear certain metals retain their wielder's rage, making these blades hum before storms or tax audits. The chief grips your wrist, his pulse thudding faster than a djembe solo. Those were never used. A lie as obvious as his. I never inhaled cough. The newest spear sports a vinyl sticker. Made in Secondi Takoradi, 1997. Outside, drums kick up a funeral rhythm or a Wi-Fi hotspot name. The teen bolts phone raised to film whatever chaos drowns out Grandpa's lecture. The chief sags, suddenly a tired old man, not a warrior king. They want battles, he mutters, stroking a spear haft smoother than his ego. But peace. He trails off, watching moths incinerate themselves in the cooking fire. Your feather spins, obsessed with the forbidden spears. One blade reflects your face, then your mother's, then a stranger's. You drop it faster than a cursed Uno card. The chief chuckles, a sound like gravel in a blender. They're persuasive. Dawn threats the horizon with pinks and oranges, the sky's passive-aggressive way of saying wrap it up. The teens live streaming now, panning across weapons while mispronouncing assant 3 different ways. Tourists will buy those replica spears, display them in air-conditioned flats, never guessing their dinner knives have seen more action. The chief offers you palm wine in a cup carved from a cow's horn. You sip, tasting fire and regret and poor decisions. He nods at the alcove. Take 1. It's a test. Politely decline and you're wise. Accept and your dinner. Your feather makes the choice, stabbing the chief's stool. He barks a laugh, claps your shoulder, leaves a handprint that'll bruise by noon. You exit as he resumes snoring his dreams, full of elephant charges and tax collectors fleeing his spear. The teen waves goodbye, already photoshopping himself into Black Panther 3 fan art. The owl feather leads you south now, toward a coastline where waves gnaw at shipwrecks like restless dogs. You glance back, catching the chief's silhouette in the doorway. He lifts a spear, not in threat, but salute. The blade catches dawn's first light, winking. 1 heartbeat, 2. Then it's just a rusty stick in an old man's grip again. The owl feather drags you inland away from salt-sprayed wrecks to a stretch of earth that shivers underfoot. You've stumbled into a cemetery without crosses, where indentations in the soil form shapes too long to be animal burrows. Blame British railway crews in 1896. They dug up bones like garden weeds while laying tracks for colonial tin exports. The earth here holds grudges better than a 5-star Yelp review. Midnight squats, heavy, your flashlight beam, catching ceramic bowls of honeyed milk at the grave's edge. Locals still make offerings, though they'll deny it if asked. A twig snaps behind you, spin around nothing. Classic ghost etiquette: pay their rent, pretend they don't exist. Your heel sinks into loose soil. It recoils like a bad handshake. Quirky tidbit: farmers swear plows bounce off this field, as if the ground's armored. Try digging yourself. A pocket knife meets resistance 3 inches down. The dirt's laced with termite mounds or knuckle bones. Depends who you ask. Moonlight glints off something pale. Not a rock, a molar the size of a thumbnail. Historians still argue whether these graves held plague victims, rebel troops, or slaves deemed unworthy of chains. The tooth winks at you. A silent comedian revisiting his best joke. Wind slithers through dry grass, carrying a chorus of coughs. Not your imagination, the notes sync with your own breathing. You crouch, spotting a cracked clay jug leaking viscous black ooze. Molasses. Tar. No, it pulses, stretching toward your shoe like sentient marmite. The feather twitches upward, a survival instinct you should developed 3 bad choices ago. Pull your foot back. The sludge makes a sound, a wail, rusty and high, imitated by the wind seconds later. Shadows clot around a lone baobab, its trunk scarred with axe marks and modern graffiti. One tag reads, KWAME. Was here the missing irony intact? At its base, a plastic grocery bag rustles. Inside, cowrie shells and a Nokia brick phone from 2004. Charge it and hear voicemails in dead dialects. You pocket a shell. It burns colder than freezer burn. The coughs crescendo split into voices. A child's giggle, a woman cursing in Ga, a man humming Rule Britannia. Off-key. History's a terrible dinner guest, never knows when to leave. Hoofbeats tremble the air. But no horses roam here since the 38 colonial cavalry crackdown. Your wrists itch, phantom manacles. Dehydration. Both. A goat's skull peers from a thicket, ribbon tied around its horns, new made in China. Capitalism commodifies even the afterlife's dress code. The feather jabs your palm, urging retreat. You're terrible at taking hints. Trace a grave's outline with your sneaker. The soil heaves like a chest, taking first breath. 63 bodies once lay here, or 94, or 200. Archives burned better than census records. A bowl of milk tips over, liquid seeping into the earth. The coughing stops. Not silence, but a vacuum. Your ears pop. Historians still argue whether proper burials would soothe these spirits or just piss them off more. Ask the locals. They'll change the subject to football scores. Something tugs your jacket, expecting a branch. Your zipper's undone, sliding down on its own. Cold thumbprints bloom on the metal. The feather goes stiff, then combusts without flame, reduced to ash and regret. You backpedal, stepping on a ceramic shard. It crunches. The sound echoes 3 times. First as pottery, then as a spine, finally as a rifle stock snapping. The ground exhales a stench copper, mildew, and burnt sugar overkill. Dawn's an hour off, but roosters in the village stay mute. Smart birds. The Nokia in your pocket buzzes, screen flashing unknown number. Answer it, and risk owing roaming charges to the underworld. You choose retreat, because common sense occasionally wins. Past the Baobab, through a cassava field, past a kid's bicycle missing both wheels. The graves whispers nip at your heels, quieter with each step. Look back once, mistake. The milk bowls hover inches above ground, rotating slowly. No, it's just sleep deprivation, or malaria meds kicking in, or a reality where gravity got bored. Village lights twinkle ahead, generators humming bay and say singles. Your stolen cowrie shell warms, then shatters, cutting your thumb. Blood beads black under moonlight, falling on soil that greedily absorbs it. Cheeky, the chief's sister meets you at her kiosk, sells you Fanta with a side eye. You smell like dead air, she remarks, lighting a cigarillo. She won't take your stained cash, makes you trade the Nokia instead. Fair's fair. As you sip synthetic orange, she nods toward the graves. My great-grand's there. Pause. And your people's worst mistakes. The Fanta tastes like ash now, but you finish it. Penance comes in tiny bottles. Overhead, a jetliner blinks across the Milky Way, twinning with a 19th century slave route. Time folds, creases, smudges. Your shoelaces knot themselves. The grave's final prank. The kiosk radio crackles, weather report predicting storms. Thunder growls, or hungry earth, or laughter. The sister flicks her cigarillo, watches the ember die midair. They'll quiet down by Tuesday, she lies smoothly, or not. The storm's first raindrops hit like cold pebbles, chasing you into a reed-walled hut that smells of shea butter and mildew. A blind woman sits cross-legged, her fingers flying through palm fronds like a spider on deadline. You're late, she says, though you never set a meeting. Her braids click-clack, each bead carved from wood older than the Second Congo War. You crouch, avoiding a roof leak that plinks into a tin bucket. She tosses a finished, not your way. It unravels midair, showing a miniature version of you tripping over a root tomorrow at dawn. Watch the path, she smirks, her empty milky eyes tracking your face. Historians still argue whether Malian weavers encoded real prophecies or just gaslit rivals into stubbing their toes. Her hands dive into a fresh frond, splitting it with a sound like celery snapping. Fun fact: 14th century Timbuktu librarians wove encrypted messages into wall tapestries. This lady's methods cruder, but her accuracy's unnerving. She hums a Nokia ringtone, your stolen phone's final cry from the grave field. A knot forms showing two snakes swallowing each other's tails. Your government, she starts, then flicks the imagery away. Boring. Let's discuss your love life. The frond twists into a heart, pierced by a syringe. She cackles, her gold-capped molar catching lamplight. Metaphor. Don't panic, unless you're into that. Outside, thunder impersonates bomber planes. She ignores it, weaving faster now. Griots used to sing histories into these knots, she says. True fact. Mali Empire oral historians memorized lineages spanning centuries until colonialists burned the libraries. The woman snorts. Europeans prefer flat paper, easier to steal. A child runs in, dumping a basket of cola nuts at her feet. She pockets 3 without looking. For the arthritis, she explains, though her hands move like concert pianists. You mention the hovering milk bowls from the graveyard, she stills. Old magic dislikes cameras and Fanta. Her next knot shows a lioness nursing a human infant. Happening right now, 12 kilometers east. Skeptical, so was the Belgian anthropologist who found claw marks on his Land Rover door. The woman licks her thumb, tastes the air. Rains will stop in 7 minutes. Bring me a cigarette. You've got gum. She accepts it grudgingly, chewing with the vigor of someone fighting destiny. Your shoelaces, she mutters. They've knotted again, this time in Celtic patterns. She waves a hand, the laces fall slack, free of charge. My gift to clumsy foreigners. Another knot, a collapsing bridge crowded with goats. Next month's headline, she yawns, shredding the prophecy. Her fingers dive into a new frond, then freeze. For the first time, she looks uneasy. The palm strip wilts, dripping black sap onto the dirt floor. She kicks it aside, forced cheerful. Mistake. Let's try. But her hands tremble now. The next weave shows a blank space until you lean closer. Thousands of faces peer back, mouths open in silent screams. Ah, she coughs, crumpling the vision. Sometimes the Wi-Fi buffers. Dawn leaks through the reeds, pale and unreliable. The woman shoves a final knot into your pocket. It squirms a live mouse in a handkerchief. Don't look until the moon's full, she lies. You'll peek before lunch, obviously. As you exit, she calls out. The 319th knot always predicts dinner. Tonight's dinner. Burnt jollof rice. And oh, the rain stops mid-sentence. 7 minutes exactly. Her laughter follows you down the path as your left foot catches a root. The root sends you sprawling, palms scraping gravel that sparkles with embedded quartz. Flat on your back, you stare at a sky bleeding stars. 5 numerals cluster around a telescope, their indigo robes flapping like captive flags. Al-Sufi's chart says 42 visible in Auriga. One snaps, adjusting brass dials gone green with patina. His colleague peers through the eyepiece, her henna'd fingers tightening. 43, before the Mongol invasion. Check Ibn Hawkle's margins. True fact. Medieval Timbuktu astronomers mapped 1,746 stars using compasses aligned with termite mounds. The woman hisses, a star between Rho Origi and Hip 23,788 winks out. You sit up, dusting off sand that smells faintly of fried plantains. The debate escalates Arabic, French, and a dialect peppered with PlayStation terms. Could be a meteor, shrugs a teenager cleaning his glasses. The eldest astronomer spits, a glob that sizzles into the sand. Meteors don't erase. That was deliberate. Something cold grazes your neck, a breeze carrying the musk of frozen metal. You swat, fingers closing on empty air. The astronomers don't notice. They're too busy accusing each other of bad math. Quirky tidbit. 9th century, skywatchers swallowed crushed gemstones to purify their gaze. Hospital records mention regrettable bathroom incidents. The teen astronomer crouches beside you, offering a thermos of mint tea. They'll argue till dawn. Last month, it was vanishing moon craters. His ID badge says École des Étoiles, Bamako, stained with what you hope is chocolate. He nods toward the telescope. Wanna see a dead star's fingerprint? You peer through the eyepiece, constellations blurred like wet mascara. Then clarity hits. The missing star's void isn't empty. Tiny lights swirl there, a microgalaxy dancing in the corpse's shadow. We call it the funeral procession, he whispers. But UNESCO says it's lens flare. The eldest astronomer barks a command. The others scatter to check sextants. Historians still argue whether 14th century reports of raining stars described auroras or stolen celestial debris. Your nape chills again, this time lingering like a dentist's probe. You spin, glimpsing a silhouette taller than the surrounding acacias. No face, just a hunger in the air's taste, ozone and burnt honey. The teen follows your stare, sees nothing. Oh, that's normal, he lies too quickly. His pen leaks blue ink onto star charts. A shout from the telescope team. Another star evaporates in Ursa Major. This time, you all feel the temperature drop. The eldest astronomer crosses himself, then a crescent moon. Fetch the iron filings, he orders, voice fraying. The teen sprints to a lockbox, returning with a jar of black powder. They sprinkle it in a makeshift circle, which immediately ignites. Flames leap cobalt blue, casting no heat. Your left shoelace unties itself, prophet approved. Through the fire, the silhouette grows defined. Not a body, a negative space cut from the night. The astronomers huddle, reciting equations like incantations. The thing extends a hand-shaped absence toward the youngest member. You chuck a cola nut from your pocket. It passes through the shadow, landing with a mundane plink. The silhouette pauses, then peels backward like duct tape, taking the cobalt flames with it. Normal starlight floods back, harsh and unwelcoming. The astronomers exhale as one. Happens monthly, the teen mutters, wiping ink off his chin. Data says it's solar wind interacting with. He trails off, noticing the elder's glare. You glance at the sky. Ursa Major's missing star has reappeared, but 3 degrees off course. The teen follows your gaze. We don't mention that, he breathes, handing back the thermos. Distant drums start probably a village wedding. The astronomers pack up, arguing about grant proposals now. That cold touch lingers on your neck as you count the realigned stars. 73, 81, 90. The numbers slip like trying to grip smoke. You surrender, walking back toward the mud brick guest house. Behind you, a sound like ice cubes cracking in a glass. When you turn, only the telescope remains, its lens cracked in a spiderweb pattern. Dawn's first light reveals the truth. Your shadows, now 2 hours ahead of your body. The harmattan wind licks your neck first, a dry, papery tongue dragging east to west. Your shadow strides ahead, 2 hours too eager, as red sand devours the guest house behind you. True fact, this wind carries Ghanaian dust to Brazilian rainforests, each grain a smuggled mineral. You pull your scarf up, tasting centuries of crushed mud brick and regret. A donkey brays in the distance, its cry muffled by airborne silt. You blink, granules stick to your lashes like microscopic barnacles. Quirky side note, 12th century, nomads timed journeys by how long shadows took to disintegrate in this wind. Your own shadow flickers, untethered from daylight's rules, as dunes rise where huts stood yesterday. Muffled clinking makes you turn. A Tuareg elder adjusts his indigo veil, gloves sewn from expired UN food sacks. His camel carries salt blocks and a smartphone playing Tinariwen. Your shadow's early for the apocalypse, he rasps, offering dates from a Chinese letter ED tin. Historians still argue whether Saharan cities mixed human blood into their mortar. The debate simmers in archaeology blogs. You bite into a date, its sweetness battles dust coating your throat. The elder points at your rogue shadow. It'll return when you stop carrying that question. His camel sneezes, spraying mica into the half-light. Wind sculpts the dunes into collapsing pyramids. You spot a soda-can stamped, rusted Rosetta Stone for future dig teams. The elder unwraps a cloth bundle, revealing a hand-carved analemma. My grandfather used this to curse delayed caravans. Worked, mostly. Your shadow hesitates, waiting where a well should be. The ground rumbles, a bass note felt in molars, not ears. Sand cascades off a buried obelisk, revealing glyphs of stick-figure merchants bowing to a tornado. The elder snorts. Tourist traps, carved last Tuesday. A child's flip-flop surfaces, purple sequins still defiant. You pocket it, ignoring the elder's chuckle. What's lost stays lost here, he murmurs. Except regrets, those pop up like meerkats. The wind shifts, sand stings like bee swarm static. You crouch, spotting a fossilized ostrich egg clutched in the dune's flank. The elder kicks it loose. Take it, makes a decent calendar if you hate precision. Your shadow flickers, suddenly triple exposed. The elder freezes. Ah, you met the star thieves. He spits. The saliva levitates in midair before disintegrating. They hate mortal math, mess with shadows, clocks, your mom's birthday. The obelisk sinks, swallowed in seconds. You back away, heel catching on a coiled root of petrified wood. The elder mounts his camel. Going northwest, the sand's hungrier there. His phone blares auto-tuned Tamashek rap as he vanishes into the haze. Night falls, or the sand blots out the sun. Your shadow split into a dozen jagged strips, each crawling in different directions. You hum a Mali blues riff, realizing mid-verse it's now a Gregorian chant. The dunes sigh in B-flat. A crack splits the ground, exposing a mosaic of Queen Amenishikito, her gold crown peeling upward like ancient duct tape. Wind flays the tiles, leaving only her left eye glaring from the abyss. You blink, and she's gone, replaced by a rat snake eating its own tail. Dawn arrives as a rumor gray smudges, pretending to be light. Your shadow snaps back into place, bruised and sulking. The air tastes of burnt fuskia and defeat. You uncork your canteen. Sand streams out in a ceramic sigh. You face the horizon, lips cracking around the unasked question. The harmattan inhales, stealing the words from your tongue. Red grit fills the vacuum, sealing the sentence into a fossil. Your shadow nods, satisfied. Above, vultures circle nothing, or something not yet carrion. The last wall falls, its mud bricks dissolving mid-collapse. You exhale, breath joining the wind's patient excavation. One footprint remains, yesterday's left boot, size 9, filling slowly with tomorrow's dust. You kneel, press a palm to the earth. The desert pulses once, a heartbeat older than salt. When you stand, your shadow walks normal. The vultures peel away. Somewhere, a donkey brays in the present tense. You slip the ostrich egg fossil into your pack. It hums, holding millennia like a withheld apology. The path ahead's wiped clean, but your heels know the way. You whisper the question anyway, a dry click between molars. The harmattan answers, scrubbing it from the air before the first syllable settles. All that's left, the scent of fried plantains and the ghost of a star's chemical aftertaste. The scent of fried plantains fades, replaced by the cool kiss of night air. You lie back, shoulders sinking into sand, still warm from the day's breath. Stars pierce the haze, each pinprick a distant campfire, whispering across millennia. Your shadow melts into the earth, no longer split or wandering, just soft ink spilled on indigo. A cricket chirps, its rhythm syncs with your slowing pulse. The ostrich egg fossil hums, a lullaby of eroding stone and patient time. You count breaths, not numbers, but textures rough as Saharan wool, smooth as polished onyx. Wind gentles to a sigh, carrying far-off laughter, or maybe dunes rearranging their folds. The vultures, shadows blend into constellations, their hunger forgotten in the moon's silver yawn. Your fingers trace the petrified wood. Its rings hold more midnights than your bones dare remember. Dust coats your eyelids, heavier now, sweet as a mother's hush. The harmattan cradles your unspoken question, rocking it gently into sedimentary dreams. Somewhere, a single grain of Ghanaian gold settles between mica sheets, awaiting a future palm. You exhale a map of creases, dissolving from forehead to sky. The desert exhales back, its heartbeat rustling through dry grass, through fossil, through the hollow of your parted lips. Dawn lingers beyond the horizon, patient as camel's breath. For now, only this: sand becoming skin, becoming star stuff. The infinite loop of a snake's tail dissolving into sleep. Your pack sinks deeper, cradled by the dune's slow roll. The elder's dates melt on your tongue, sweetness lingering like an unfinished hymn. Night air fills your canteen, liquid shadow to sip at sunrise. You unclench your fists, let the wind take what it needs. The rat snake's pattern repeats in the stars, swallowing its own end, beginning end. A single meerkat pup emerges, tilted head catching moonlight. Its whiskers twitch, then vanish, a mirage retreating into the unseen. You hum no tune, only the desert's own vibration, sand grinding sand in perfect, endless tune. Eyelids fall not as shields, but as sails. The harmattan billows them outward, carrying you into the marrow of stillness. Somewhere, a donkey brays the world's softest lullaby. You drift unspun, unasked, undone. The desert folds itself around you, a mother's palm, pressing gently on the third eye. All questions scatter grains, lost to the hourglass's bottom chamber. Sleep rises, a warm tide lifting you into the moon's empty cup. The last star flickers, or maybe it's your pulse. No matter. The sand needs no witness, the wind no answer. You let go, dissolving, until only the egg's hum remains, and the far-off taste of dawn's first tear